My boyfriend's mom kept insulting me and telling me I'm too masculine to be with her son, so I gave him an ultimatum about going low contact with her or we're done. Posted by u/OK extension 238. So I, 23M, hate my boyfriend's, 24M, family with a passion. I can't stand them. They are the most condescending, judgmental jerks I have ever had the displeasure of knowing. It all started when I first met them. They talked about my looks and how I could improve it by losing weight, cutting my hair, and stop eating like a pig. I'm 188 centimeters tall and 80 kilograms. I go to the gym a lot, and I would consider myself fit. They have crapped on my job because they think I'm not good enough to be a doctor and I work too much. His mother is the one that says all of this, and the rest agree with her. It has gotten to the point where I'm dreading every birthday, Christmas, or any other celebration because I have to see them again. My boyfriend has told them to stop, but they always say that I'm too sensitive and need to relax. Last time I met them, they told my boyfriend that he should dump me and find a man that's better for him. I was sitting next to him when it happened. So his mom got into an accident and had to go to the hospital I'm working at, and my boyfriend told me to help her and make sure she gets the best care. I told my coworkers, and they assured me that I can't be on her case and that I wouldn't need to be near her at all. My boyfriend and his family begged me that I should visit her and make sure she is okay on my break, and I refused. I said I'd rather be alone in my apartment and suffer than to visit his mom with him or without him. I can't stand that woman. He and his family have been messaging me nonstop telling me I'm a bad doctor for not wanting to help a patient. But the thing is, she's not my patient, so am I the jerk? Edit. In Sweden it's 5 years of med school, then you become an intern, I think it's called in the US. After you are done with that, you can specialize in whatever field you like. I'm working in a surgical hospital, and I started my studies half a year before I turned 17. Update 1, 23 days later. So I thought I would give you guys an update, but before that, thank you all for the kind words and support. His mom was fine. She was not in any danger at all. My colleagues told me how much crap she talked about me and how much better he could do than some wannabe doctor. I was fuming. She and her family had been begging me to visit her, and she was still talking crap about me. So I went to her room demanding to know what her problem was. Well, she didn't like me because I'm, in her words, too masculine to be with her son, and he needs to find someone that's not, lol. I told my boyfriend, and he was mad at first but kinda agreed with her and told me it wouldn't hurt me to try being less masculine. All I said was that if he's trying to make me change who I am, then there is no reason to be with me anymore. He told me that that's not what he wanted and that he loves me. So I told him, like so many of you did, that if he wants me, then he needs to go low contact with her, and I'm going to go full no contact. He told me that it's not fair and I was being unreasonable. I had made my choice though, and in the end we broke up. To be honest, I'm not even heartbroken. I have my job, good friends, and a family that loves me. I have gotten texts from him telling me he misses me, but I have just ignored them. In the end, I'm happy, I think, and it's for the better. Edit. I just want to say once again, thank you. To be honest, it's good to hear from strangers that I'm not overreacting, not a coward that's running away when things get hard. I really loved him, but the dude has big mommy issues, and because of his mom, I realized that I can't deal with a guy that can't put me first. I'm already working my butt off, and I can't be bothered to feel like crap after work. Update 2, 3 months later. This dude's family has treated me like crap. I was never good enough. I was in their eyes a wannabe doctor that shouldn't be one, and they felt sorry for my patients. They wanted me to be less masculine because they wanted my ex to be the man. I told him that if he wanted me in his life, he needed to go low contact with her and accept that I would go full no contact with her. He didn't want that, and we broke up. He showed up at the hospital I work at, waited for me to get off my shift. When we were together he got my schedule so we could see each other, and wanted to talk. He told me he missed me and that his mother realized that it would be good to have a doctor in the family, and that my boyfriend was an idiot to break up with me. He told me that he was done with her crap and that we should be together again. Honestly, I was too tired. I worked a 15-hour shift and was planning a nice date with my bed. I didn't think I missed him because of the crap he put me through, but I don't know. I don't want it to go back to how it was, and I have had hate in my heart for him since we broke up. I don't know where I'm going with this, to be honest. I was going to sleep, but this has been on my mind since I got home. Just had to get it off. Edit. I am a man. Update 3, 4 days later. Edit. Can't change the title, so yeah, that's fun. So before my actual update, I want to clarify some things. His mother is a nightmare to be near. She has talked crap about me in front of me, made fun of my appearance, telling me to stop eating like a pig and that no one wants a pig in the family. Has told my ex that he could find someone better than some wannabe doctor and stuff like that. I will never ever let someone talk to me like that, and that's why I wanted him to be low contact and me no contact. So here is the actual update. I talked to him yesterday. I asked him if he was really willing to go no contact with her, and he changed the subject time and time again. I told him why he told me what his mother said about me being the doctor in the family, and he couldn't answer that either. I told him to leave and that we would continue that conversation tomorrow, today. I saw him after work today. I got off at 1 and saw him at 3. I told him if he couldn't answer any of my questions honestly, then it wasn't even worth trying. So he told me what I believe was half of the truth. He said that he regretted everything, but his mother was right, should have ended it there. I can't be the one that acts as the man between us, and it undermines him. He told me that he can't go full no contact with her because that's his mother. He told me that I was childish for breaking up with him over some comments she made and told me that it won't happen again and that he won't let it happen. I asked him why he came back only after his mother told him that it would be good to have a doctor in the family, even though she didn't think I was a good one. He only said it's true, and it's good to have one. At that point I was fed up. I'm tired, I work long hours, and coming back to that headache was not worth it. I told him that I am a man and that he is one too. Told him that's not how a relationship works between two men and that he will always be a mama's boy. I will not tolerate being talked down to or feel belittled over their internalized homophobia. I told him that any man or woman that he might date or wants to date him can go through with that problem, but it won't be me. He begged and told me that it would make him happy if we tried and that his mother could change. No, just no. I want to be with someone that loves me for me and won't let their mother's hate make me feel like a failure and a bad person. I won't. I'm not dating their mother. I told him to not bother contacting me again and that I'm officially done with him now and forever. Thank you to all of you. You guys gave good advice and made things clearer, and I hope all of you achieve great things in life. Update 4, 8 months later. My former boyfriend and I broke up because of his mother, and I haven't heard from him for a couple of months, thank God. His mother came to my door demanding that I take him back as he is blaming her for breaking us up and that he barely talks to her nowadays. She demanded I take him back as she wants him to start talking to her again. I burst out laughing in her face for about 4 minutes, and I couldn't stop, which made her even more angry. I closed the door in her face and got ready to go to work. This woman followed me to work and again demanded I take her son back, and I just continued laughing in her face. In the end, I told her to frick off and that she made her bed and she can rot in it. She looked stunned as I don't usually talk back to her, because I didn't want to upset my ex. I told her if she continued to harass me, I would go to the police. She seemed to back off after that threat. Good riddance. Update 5, 24 days later. So the devil has shown herself again, but this time with her son. To be honest, completely honest, I'm still laughing my butt off. My ex and ex-mother-in-law showed up today. My ex told me that his mother said that I'm willing to take him back and that we could finally live a good life together again. I freaking lost it. I laughed at both of them, told them both that they were delusional to think I would even consider having any type of relationship with either of them. I told my ex that his mother lied and that he knew why I would never in a million years take him back. He looked at his mom and yelled at her, and I just looked at her with a smirk on my face. His mother then started yelling homophobic crap like, "This would never have happened if you just stopped acting like a man," and I lost it laughing again. My ex-mother-in-law even tried to attack me, but luckily, for her, her son held her back and they left. I later got a call from a mutual friend that said my ex would make sure his mom wouldn't bother me anymore. I have him blocked. All in all, I'm happy, and this has been so fun. Hope they both live miserable lives together.
My ex-fiancée ghosted me right before our wedding 16 years ago with zero explanation and cut off everyone including her family, but now she's sliding into my DMs wanting to meet up and I still have feelings for her. Posted by you/throwrand ghosting ADV. I, 39M, was never given an explanation. My ex-fiancée, 38F, just left and told nobody. It was right before our big wedding ceremony. She didn't leave a note, nothing, just left. Even her family were left baffled. She just up and left. We had dated all through high school and all through college. She eventually returned but not to me. I had to learn via third party, her parents. She had no intentions of coming home. She wanted nothing to do with me and told her parents to avoid having me around. I never got a choice in the matter. I respected her wishes. I never understood why she did it. My only guess was she had a mental breakdown because she cut off all contact with everyone. We were both young and still growing. I don't know, but I've struggled with it since. Out of the blue, she DMs me on Facebook after all these years and wants to meet up. I'm in an influx of emotions right now. Angry, nervous, hopeful, sad. I still have feelings for her. I don't know if I could take her back, but looking at her Facebook makes me miss her. She's even better looking than she was before and single. I'm conflicted. She won't talk about anything as to why she left. She said it's best to do so in person. The only thing I can tell from her Facebook is a bunch of stuff about her being weak and living a life full of shame and regret and being lonely. This is dumb. She ghosted me and I should want nothing to do with her, but dang it, I still have feelings for her. I never stopped thinking about her. What should I do? Ghost her in return? Call her out? See where this date takes us? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. First off, dang up, that's rough. 16 years is a long time. Would meeting up with her set you back in the time you've spent getting over this, or will it give you the closure you never found? Op's response. I don't know. I just want closure. For the longest time, I thought she had cheated on me, but the only things I've been told from her family and the few friends she didn't cut off, it was more like a mental breakdown. I know she was scared to death about the wedding and her looming finals and her career. She was beyond stressed. She ghosted everyone. She gradually came back, but I was never involved. I have never stopped thinking of her. Update, 2 days later. Well, that was something. I got closure at least. We met at a cafe and sat and talked outside. The first thing I noticed was how badly scarred her arms were and how much pain was in her face. Long story short, she wanted to break up long before the wedding. She was too weak and cowardly to speak up for herself. She had a complete nervous breakdown over everything. She had been tired of being forced into doing things she never wanted to do and never having the guts to stand up for herself. She was mad at her family pressuring her to get married and pump out kids. She was mad at them forcing her into a degree that she didn't want. She was mad at herself for not being able to speak up. Nothing she did was justified, which we agreed on. When I first proposed to her, I did it in a public area. I had put her on the spot, and she wanted to say no, but she couldn't bear to see me hurt. She was right. I made all the choices for her. I was a very different person back then, and she was very meek, as in she just went with the flow and had no backbone. I drowned her voice out often and often never gave her the chance to grow to be a person. Back then, I was often focused only on myself. Well, everything came to a climax, and she had a complete mental breakdown. She ran away from her problems at the behest of her best friend and only person in the world she ever trusted. As she said, it's the only thing she knows how to do, run. She never had the spine to speak up. Her life just spiraled downwards. She did a few years homeless after her best friend's husband kicked her to the curb. The rest of that time was spent in prison, which she didn't specify what she did. She was released about a year ago and has been turning her life around. She has a job, she's reconnected with her parents, and she's finally reconnecting with me. She never stopped trying to get in touch with me. As for our future, we have none. We both agreed to end things and go our separate ways. We both are changed, two different people. We have nothing in common and don't live near each other. She doesn't justify what she did, nor does she want to be forgiven. She thinks it's repulsive and is ashamed of her actions. I wanted to be angry, but I couldn't. I just forgave her. With that, we shook hands, said our goodbyes, and it will likely be the last time we ever see one another. It's bittersweet. I got the closure I wanted. We both did. It feels like a burden was released. I know now we never had a future together and never will, but on the other hand, I'm sad because it's over. All these years, maybe hoping something would happen were for naught, but in the end, this is an ending, and I finally have closure. Not many get to say that. Do I believe her story? Yes, I do, and even if she's full of it, at this point does it even matter? I've always known her to be very weak-willed, meek. She often just does what everyone tells her to do and often runs when things get too difficult. She avoids her problems because she was too weak to stand up to them. I mean, it makes sense why her family would not talk to me about her. They were the typical tiger parents that disown their problem child. Relevant comments. Commenter 1 putting a lot of blame on the friend. Op's response, her friend was an enabler. We all were. Her friend was the one who encouraged her to run. Of course, nobody forced her to. It was all her. If I hadn't ignored her problems, if I actually had been a part of her life, I might have seen. It is what it is though. Op when asked how they met during the pandemic and the public proposal. Op's response, it's semi-open. We ordered takeout. We sat in the parking lot. Not ideal, but so be it. And the public proposal. Op's response, the proposal shouldn't be the surprise when it happens should. You should know 100% before you do it, as in discussed it is what both of you want at some point. Dropping it at random does put a huge amount of pressure on the other person if they're not quite there. Truth is, she was right. I dropped the proposal on her on purpose in public to ensure she wouldn't say no. I was only thinking about myself. It never occurred to me she was unhappy, it never occurred to me she was very uncomfortable with a public proposal. Op when told his ex was bullied by a lot of people leading to the jilting. Op's response, I abused her. There I said it. I neglected her needs in favor of mine and forced her into a marriage. I'm no better than her mom and dad really. It pisses me off all these fricking years I never realized how fricking rotten I was. Op answers once again on meeting during the pandemic. Op's response, because people don't fricking read. Not every dang place in America is closed. They remain open but are limiting to takeout only. My state and by extension my town are not under lockdown. We've not had any cases here. This isn't rocket science.
My husband keeps helping our new neighbor with everything while I'm bleeding from childbirth and begging for his attention. Then she starts showing up at our house in workout clothes every day when I'm at work but never when I'm home. Posted by you/annual_razzmatazz_94. My husband, Carl, 32M, and I live in an estate where he is the chairperson of our HOA. A woman, Beth, 30 SF, moved into our estate a few weeks ago, a single mother with split custody with her ex. A week or two after moving in, she calls my husband to ask his assistance in mounting her TV on the wall. He goes and helps. A few days later, her dishwasher was leaking. He goes and helps. This wasn't a problem for me, as he always helps everyone in the estate with little problems. As the weeks go on, she constantly needs help with things, always calling him for help. He goes. I now started getting annoyed, as we haven't been in the best state because I've just had a baby, he's 4 months old, and we've had fights where I felt he wasn't helping me enough. I gave natural birth and am still bleeding now and then, and my pelvis is still readjusting. Carl goes over to help Beth again, even our neighbors who we are very close with commented that it's odd, and he offers that we do a lunch or something to welcome her and be friends, as she just moved here and doesn't really know anyone. Mind you, he hasn't done this for other people. Lunch happens, and she calls me by the wrong name. I correct her, and she's very giggly about it. She seems okay, a bit too over the top in terms of trying to be dominant in a conversation, but I think she's okay. She comes over again one more time for a barbecue a week or two later, and our close neighbors join. They think she's okay, too. Then that week, while I'm at work, she comes over to say hi to my husband. He works from home, she's a teacher, and schools are currently closed. She shows up wearing workout clothes. I got a text from my neighbor that also works from home, saying Beth is there. I leave it, as my husband is very social, and we have cameras in the house. The next day, same thing. I mention that I'm glad she's made a friend, and my husband agrees and says that she's a cool chick. This happens about 4 more times. I then have to travel for work, 4 days away, and then she came over almost every single day in workout clothes. One night, I watched the cameras, and they were sitting by the table eating together, and I just lost it. My husband is an avid gamer, so he plays games every night, eating dinner by his PC. I always beg him to sit by me and eat with me. He does it maybe once or twice a week. I called my husband after Beth had left and told him that these visits while I'm not home are making me very uncomfortable. She's been over 3 times while I was home, but constantly there when it's just him. He apologized and said he will set boundaries. Great. This discussion was on the Thursday night. Friday morning, Beth rocks up again. I keep my cool, because Carl said he will talk to her. I get home the Friday night, and we have the discussion again. We are both calm and all that. Monday morning, our baby got sick. Carl takes him to the doctor and tells me that I need to be at home Tuesday and Wednesday because baby can't go to baby school because he is sick. Okay, cool. I come home early on Monday and look after baby. Monday afternoon, Beth and her ex have a chat about an offer my husband had made to the ex about him coming over and also being friends. The ex lives in our estate, too. Do you think Beth texts my husband about this chat that happened on the Monday? Nope. I am home Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Thursday morning, when I go to the office, Beth rocks up to chat about it. I lost it completely, because now it's been a week since I told Carl about my discomfort. We had a very serious discussion that night, where I said that if I see her here again when I am not here, I know he has no regard for my feelings. He was adamant about staying friends and asked for a compromise. I said that the compromise is that she does not come here when I am not here. The next morning, he went to go talk to her about it, and apparently she was extremely apologetic, really wanting to be friends with me, too, but she almost never came over when I was at home. She hasn't been here since then, 2 weeks now, and I have not had a text or whatever from her. He refused to show me the text with her, and I told him that it will always bug me if he doesn't show me. He said, so be it. I honestly think he was having an emotional affair, but I will never know. My close neighbor told me about a conversation she had with him while I was at work a few weeks ago. He told her I was jealous, and she said, well, can you blame her? Then she said that he drops everything for these women but doesn't do the same for me. And he said, that's what Op said, then he went silent and changed the subject. Just needed to vent. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, that's really painful, you are right to feel hurt. Even if not physical, the secrecy and attention he gave her crossed a boundary. Op's response, he honestly made me feel like I was acting crazy because he only spoke to her after I went to Lulu, but thank you. Commenter 2, he crossed many boundaries, and this is something that you need to go to couples counseling about. You have every right to be concerned and upset. I would tell him outright that he had an emotional affair. Not only did you see it, but the neighbors saw it, and his lack of being forthcoming and letting you see the text messages is indicative of that and may show there is more than an emotional affair. I would go see an attorney to get your affairs in order in effort to protect yourself and your child. Additionally, I would start sleeping separately for now too. Commenter 3, your neighbor is a hero, calling him out for doing things for her and not you. Hopefully with someone else saying it, it actually registers in his thick head. Even if it's not emotional cheating, He has no regard for your feelings or helping you out, but happy to spend time helping other women. Totally inappropriate. Update 1, 5 weeks later. I managed to see the messages between them. Nothing of a sexual nature at all, not even flirty. There was a day where he texted her at 7:30 a.m., but only texted me at 9:45 a.m. after I had sent him a text at 6:50 a.m., but that's as bad as it gets. He does not know that I've seen the text, so I've kept it quiet. We had a massive fight a few days after I made the original post, and I told him that I am considering separation. I think that made him realize how serious this all is. It's pretty much a blur, but I've started going to therapy to deal with past traumas, and I am on antidepressants. Carl joined me in my last session, and I think he realizes what Beth's intentions were, as my male psychologist said that was very unusual behavior from her, that she is a threat and has intentions. Carl and I are doing great now, but the reason why I am posting this update is to show what Beth said to me after I decided to send her a message to bury the hatchet and move on. These are the texts. Me, dear Beth, I wanted to share what's been on my mind. I was genuinely glad when we first met. It felt like I'd found someone new with a similar personality, and I thought there was potential for a real friendship, but as time has passed, I felt hurt and disrespected by some of your choices. As someone who has also experienced betrayal, I would have hoped you'd understand how it came across when you frequently visited my husband while I wasn't home, yet never came when I was there. You had opportunities to build a friendship with me too. I've just had a baby, and during such a vulnerable time, it was especially difficult seeing how often you reached out to Carl for help. Certain things, like your son calling him Dada, crossed lines that made me deeply uncomfortable. I tried to brush off a lot, but when you avoided coming by during the days I was home, only to return the moment I was back at work, it became impossible to ignore. I've spoken to Carl about his role in this, but as a woman, I also expected you to recognize when enough was enough. In my position, I believe you would have felt the same way. I've acknowledged everything now and I'm moving forward. Whether it was you seeking attention or Carl enjoying it, I was willing to let things go until both of your actions crossed into what I can only call unacceptable. Beth then sent a long voice note detailing how it wasn't her intention to hurt me, how she just naturally gravitates towards men, blah blah, and how since I was being an introvert, she just didn't want to be in my space, blah blah blah. Then she sent, I really like you guys and hope we can still be friends, but in saying that, I will respect the boundaries and your wishes. Me, I appreciate your message. Beth, so is that a yes we can be friends? Me, if I'm honest, I still hold a lot of resentment. Mainly because what he was freely giving you, attention and effort, I was begging for it and not receiving. He tried his best to reach a compromise with me, telling me that you were over one day to ask advice because you met someone at a bar and wanted his opinion if the guy is interested or not. So I received a lot of mixed stories because I remember you saying that you're happy being single and not looking. I'm working through my emotions, as I have a lot of unresolved trauma, and Carl's constant defending you left a very bad taste in my mouth. I don't know if it would be possible while we are still working on things, as this has caused a very big rift between us. I realized my mistake here when I gave her a good feeling because my husband defended her. The next part, she sent a bunch of texts. Beth, Carl defended me because he wanted you to realize him and I are good friends. Beth, I don't want to be that person, but I do think you need to take a step back and also put yourself in our shoes. Beth, you have a good husband who loves you and your son and wants to build a beautiful life with you guys, but you can't allow insecurities or misunderstandings to interfere with that. Beth, work on things, that's fine, but don't push someone away that is wanting to be both your friends. Beth, take time to think. I won't push it. Beth, what I mean by this is to trust your husband. He is incredibly loyal to you, but he is a social, helpful person who gets along with women as his friends, and you need to accept that and trust that there are no ill intentions and he is genuinely just building friendships. She sent this in a space of 6 minutes. Me, sure, I'll put myself in your shoes. Visiting a man only when his wife isn't home, constantly asking him for help with menial things around the house. I reached out to bury the hatchet, and then you spit out about how I mustn't let my insecurities get in the way of someone's blatant disrespectful actions? LOL. And again, I don't care who he is friends with, whether it's a woodpecker or a vagina. I'm not jealous by nature, as he's had dinner with exes, we've had threesomes, and we constantly comment on women that we see in public, but when something makes me uncomfortable and I ask that the visits while I'm away stop, then I'm insecure. Thanks. Beth, no that's not what I am saying. I was trying to get you to understand that you have a loving and loyal husband and need to allow him to be friends with others. I did explain to you from my side why I did visit when you weren't there, and I still did say I will respect your boundaries moving forward, but would really like to maintain our friendship. Me, he can be friends with whoever the frick he wants to. I didn't tell him to cut you off. I only asked that you not visit when I'm not here. That's it. If he ended the friendship, that was him. Your blatant disrespect now honestly killed any chances. I said to you that it's not a good idea now while we work on things, and you decided that your freaking opinion mattered. If I made a mistake, I would never put the blame on the other woman, blaming her insecurities and saying she must let her husband be friends with other women. Shame on you. Beth, I will give you time. Me, there's nothing to think about. You showed exactly who you are, your narcissistic need for attention led you to overstep. Whatever place you imagined you had in Carl's life doesn't exist. He even sees how disrespectful and unacceptable your behavior was. All of us have lost every ounce of respect for you. Enjoy the life you've made for yourself. I then blocked her. My husband was appalled by her behavior and said that it's completely unacceptable. He did not text her to say that, but he did decide that cutting her off was the only option. He promised he would tell me if she texted him, and he hasn't said anything, so I am trusting him. She has moved out of the estate and is no longer part of our lives. I wish I could have given her a proper send-off, a glitter bomb or raw fish down her car vents, but I was too preoccupied with work and my baby. We are doing much better, and he sees how much his actions have hurt me. He is making more of an effort to make me feel better and happy and secure in our marriage. Thanks for reading. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Why are you telling this potential homewrecker all your personal information? Stop texting her. You're just giving her the upper hand here, spilling the beans on every facet of your relationship with your husband. Stop. I don't think this is the end of it. He's telling you what you want to hear. She's telling you things about your husband as if you don't know him. He'll be loving it. This is going one way, and I hope you see it and take control before they manipulate you further. Commenter 2. While it may have been cathartic you gave her so much information and ammo to use about your relationship, and the way she's acting, it seems your husband painted a very different picture of things to give her the impression this was acceptable behavior. I hope things work out between you and your husband though. Commenter 3. You told her way too much. When she asks if you can still be friends, say no. Don't blurt out more of your personal information. It gives her ammunition to argue. Commenter 4. There is power in silence, just saying. You should have never texted her in the first place. Don't let people who are trying to get between you know that anything they have done has any power in your relationship. Update 2, 12 hours later. Hi all, I've read through all the comments and did some thinking. I realized that I stuck my whole dang leg in my mouth, but I was so caught up in the heat of the moment. I guess it was a mix of me being on new medication, anger that my husband would not just tell her to frick off, and me trying to set the picture of me not being anything close to jealous. I realize my mistake, and it is what it is. To those saying fake, I don't really care, that's why I posted on a venting sub. Even though things are going better now, and we are in therapy, I still hold resentment because he outright refused to block her while she lived in the estate, saying, "What if there's an emergency?" I can't block a tenant, and he refused to call her out on her behavior because he doesn't want drama. I respect his decision, but it still hurts. We've been together for nearly 10 years, and I tell him that sometimes I feel he cares about other people's emotions more than mine. I pretty much am just keeping a low profile now, spending time with my son and trying to focus on the happiness that I do have. Whatever decisions he makes now going forward, I will address it when it happens. I was not in a good mental space when this whole thing happened, and I am growing as a person and learning to control my emotions, also to control what I just blurt out when I am upset. Thank you for everyone's input. It's not healthy for me to keep dwelling on this. I am moving on now. Whether my husband wants to move on with me or keep to his old ways, I'll cross that bridge when I get there, and I have a plan for if things do go sideways. Thank you all. My brother strung his girlfriend along for 12 years while making her pay half his mortgage and cheating on her. Then she got him to sign documents giving her 45% of his house by convincing him they were scamming a company together. Posted by you/glittering disc 5929. I, 37F, have an older brother, George, 45M, who isn't an idiot, but he can be lazy. Definitely the type to rely on weaponized incompetence whenever women and girls are around. Example, he acted like he didn't know where our mom kept the paper plates in the house he lived in for nearly 20 years, just so she'd get up, go into the kitchen, and make him his plate during the holidays, just 1 week post her bunion surgery. Side note, they both tried to passive-aggressively make me feel guilty for not offering to fix my adult brother's plates so our mom wouldn't have to do it, like I wasn't the only one doing the most of the cooking and would be doing most of the cleaning afterwards. At age 30, George was given a windfall from our grandfather's estate. I got something too, and used it as a down payment for a nice 5-bedroom house that's easily worth double now. During this time, he met Melinda, 50F, and she was a nice lady. Smart, responsible, hardworking, sweet, and very organized. She came into the relationship with a steady job and was upfront about her lack of ability to have more children after complications from nearly losing her life giving birth to her daughter. George stated that he was okay with that, But whenever Melinda would bring up his hesitation regarding marriage, he'd say that he had complicated feelings about not being able to be a father if he chose to fully commit to her, that he needed to process. Saying that since he was willing to look over her fertility issues because he loved her, that she needed to show her love by waiting for him. That line worked for 12 years. After Melinda moved in, George demanded that she pay half the bills and part of his mortgage in exchange for allowing Melinda's daughter to move in with her. At the time, Melinda had little options as her former landlord was raising the rent too high and she was helping pay for her sister's medical bills. Melinda and George justified to everyone by saying what she would have had to pay to George was still cheaper in rent than at her old place. I said nothing because not my relationship. 2 years ago, George was caught cheating and Melinda was furious, then left. I don't know all the details, but she came back seeming to work things out. Didn't stop George from cheating, but Melinda shrugged and said that this was still a better deal and so long as he kept it from the house, she'd cope. Recently, there was some type of damage to George's house and he needed people to come in and fix it, but he hated the labor of searching for a reliable contractor, taking time away from his job and hobbies to deal with them and the paperwork. Melinda offered to do it and he didn't question it. Whatever she gave, he signed, and in front of third-party witnesses. Melinda got George to sign paperwork stating that she was entitled to 45% of his house. Now she's dumped him and is demanding that George either sell his house or buy her out. George is trying to fight this, citing that he didn't fully understand what he was agreeing to, and he's found a lawyer willing to take his case, but his fees are expensive. George and our mom think that I should help, but I'm refusing. I don't see why I have to shell out thousands to save another grown man from his own lack of foresight, especially when there's a good chance he won't even win. I'm being called heartless and a bad sister, so I have to ask, am I the jerk? Relevant comments. Downvoted commenter, you can't give a part of the house without a notary contract, whatever he signed he's an idiot for not reading, he should have left this woman a long time ago. Ops response, I believe the third party who witnessed my brother sign the documents was a licensed notary. Commenter 1, NTA. But who is expecting to have more kids with a 50 years old? For me, it sounds more like he was looking for an excuse to play victim since the beginning of the relationship. By the way, I'm not the youngest woman and I think this question is important. Ops response, she was in her 40s when they got together, but I agree he was just using that as an excuse. Commenter 2, I think it's funny how you say he's not an idiot and then you go on to explain exactly why he is an idiot. Ops response, I truly don't believe that my brother is an idiot. He's just lazy. Like if he actually put in the time and work to actually fact-check, Melinda wouldn't have been able to do what she did. Commenter 3, NTA. George had it coming. Stringing that woman along for years, manipulating her by making her feel guilty over not being able to have more children, having her pay half the mortgage for his house and then cheating on her? He made the bed, let him lay in it. Commenter 4, NTA. Your brother is a cheater and a fool. Was Melinda a bit underhanded? Arguably yes. Does she deserve a share of the house in return for all she paid into it, not to mention 12 years of domestic and emotional labor? Arguably also yes. But when it comes to whether you should shell out for your brother's legal fees, the answer is an unequivocal no. He was a huge jerk and ridiculously careless with his most significant asset, and that's not your responsibility to fix. He's an adult, he needs to fix his own mistake. Commenter 5, NTA. George made bad choices and is responsible for the mess that followed. Further, he is not that intelligent if he is signing something without reading it. Melinda may have acted underhanded, but I'm not mad at her about it because George used her. He strung her along and let her pay rent and mortgage. She is entitled to this share, as she sacrificed years for him. She could have found someone better. She now can, but still the years she wasted on him will never come back. Anyway, George reaped what he had sowed. It's deserved, and I wouldn't want to pay for his mistake either. Update, 2 weeks later. Okay, there's been an update, and I have to say while I still don't think my brother is an idiot overall, he is a lazy and very arrogant dumbass. I also wanted to clarify a few things as well. Melinda and my brother were in a relationship for 12 years, but they only started living together for about 9 to 10 years. Also, the documents were signed in the presence of a notary who asked my brother if he understood the context of the documents and he affirmed that he did. And to the person who said that my brother was house poor, you hit the nail on the hammer. My brother spent the majority of his inheritance and savings on buying that house and it barely had any furniture in it. When Melinda moved in, she paid to have it furnished on top of splitting the utilities and paying rent. Now on to the new stuff. When my brother's house needed fixing, he let Melinda do the grunt work of finding reputable establishments to consider because he didn't want to be bothered. Melinda presented him with up to 3 options and convinced him to go with Company A, not the real name, because they were offering seasonal discounts for first-time customers and/or new owners for specific items. Melinda's plan to get both discounts was to present it as if she recently became the partial owner and had my brother email Company A to see if they'd be willing to accept that. Company A responded that if Melinda recently became part owner of the house, then they'd be willing to give a partial discount as a courtesy. Company A was a small business but with an excellent reputation in terms of service, quality of work, and meeting deadlines, so my brother was all in. What my brother didn't realize was that Company A went by the honor system when it came to Melinda and my brother's case, but on their website it did say proper documents needed to be shown, so Melinda told my brother that she'd come up with fake documents that he could sign in the presence of a notary that she knew through a friend who was supposed to be in on the scam. They weren't, but that's what she told my brother. The actual signing was at their home in front of the notary and two people from Company A who were initially there to survey the area. So basically, my brother thought that he and Melinda were scamming Company A when in reality Melinda was scamming him. He thought the documents he was signing were fake, but they were real, and that's his defense. This is why he had trouble finding a lawyer. Wouldn't blame anyone here who thought that this was fake because what the frick. So anyway, I'm not going to give him the money, but I will give him a list of realtors. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Are you taking your brother's word for how the legal paper situation came about, or have you talked to his ex? I'll bet their explanations are not even similar. Ops response. Melinda isn't talking to anyone who is associated with my brother right now. She told us that if we insist on talking to her to email her, and if we want to meet her in person, it will be in a neutral setting, and that she will record anything we have to say. Commenter 2. How is your mother taking his side? Ops response. She's a pick-me boy mom. Commenter 3. So his defense is I thought we were scamming a company but really she was scamming me, Your Honor. Yeah, I think it's best to stay out of this one. Commenter 4. You're right. Your brother is an idiot. You should always take things seriously when they involve your home. Commenter 5. It sounds like she did actually contribute financially to the house. After 10 years, most people are considered to be in a settled relationship, and it's not like she got part ownership then the next day demanded half the sale price. Being a moron isn't considered a defense, and the whole situation is a clusterfuck of he said and she said. I think you are being very sensible to stay out of it and not contribute towards your brother's legal fees. He's going to lose anyway and should take the hit. There is no loophole for him to find to nullify her share of the house, and to be honest, she is probably entitled as she's been living with him for so long. He's an unreliable narrator, and after you remove all the extra crap he's saying, he basically wants her out on the street after 10 years without a penny to her name.
My girlfriend told me about how she pretended to be interested in a slower kid in high school, got him to strip in a park for her, then her friend stole his pants and left him there, and she couldn't stop laughing while telling me the story. Posted by you/throw citizen. So I, 24M, have only known my current girlfriend, 22F, for about 3 months, but we have great chemistry so far. A few days ago, we were talking about some stories we each had from high school. She told me about a weird kid in her school that her friends used to mess with. She used to pretend to be interested in being his girlfriend and then she'd embarrass him by getting him to do something humiliating or showing their private texts to other people, etc., or they'd set up some kind of elaborate prank on him. In the story she told me, she was on a date with him one night in a park, and she told him she wanted him to take off his pants for her. After he did it, her other friends came and took the pants, and everyone drove away leaving him alone to walk home in his underwear. She told me more stories, but you get the point. It made me sad though because I got the impression the guy might have been a little mentally disabled or something, because she said that after everything they do, he still wouldn't understand that she was in on all these pranks with her other friends. She'd either pretend it had nothing to do with her or she'd make up some excuse I guess, and the kid kept falling for it. She really thought it was funny though, like she could barely contain herself while she was telling me this stuff. It's been a few days and it's bothering me, so I figured I'd ask for some advice. I have a feeling this is a huge overreaction. It's just a strange feeling because she seemed incredibly sweet up to this point, but after telling me this story and the lack of remorse, it's difficult to look at her the same way. I'm not perfect by any means, and I feel like I'm being a jerk for judging someone about something that happened in high school, but it still bothered me. Thanks for any advice. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, be honest with yourself here. She repeatedly cultivated a fake romantic interest between herself and a vulnerable person purely to victimize them. She didn't make a spur-of-the-moment error of judgment. Both her and her friends planned this out, laid the groundwork, and then executed it again and again. She didn't just mess around with someone's heart, she went all out to humiliate and harm their mental health. You have no idea how deeply the damage they did to this guy runs, even to this day. People have taken their own lives because of the impact bullying has had on them, and yet she has not a single shred of remorse? She thinks it's a hoot? A great tale to tell to garner a few giggles? There is something fundamentally wrong with your girlfriend, something you can't fix and could be turned against you one day, should you not meet her expectations somehow. At 3 months in, I'd call this a deal breaker and make my excuses to end things. Actually, even at 3 years in, I'd be out. I wouldn't want to risk raising a family with someone who found such cruelty so amusing, just in case they tried passing on their warped ideas of humor onto our kids. Ops response, that's an insightful way of putting it. It's just difficult for me to make sense of these actions given everything else I know about her, but you're right, what she did was really terrible and it's hard to find an excuse for it. Commenter 2, one of my favorite high school memories was explaining to the slow guy that the other kids were not being friendly and were mocking him and fricking with him. It was definitely a laughing at, not laughing with situation. He beat the heck out of them the next time they messed with him. I went to the principal and explained what had happened. He didn't get in trouble. I got told to never fricking do that again. Every job I worked in that town, he'd come visit and shop there. Many years later, I worked with his brother who was not impaired. He hugged me and said that I changed the course of his brother's life. He'd been quiet and bullied until I calmly explained things to him. After that, he became outgoing and confident. He'd ride the bus to go around town and just had a happy, vibrant life. Teenagers do dumb, cruel stuff. One of the signs of growing up is leaving that crappy behavior behind. The fact that she seems to look back on treating an impaired person like crap is something like a cherished memory? Run, don't walk. It's in no way an overreaction. She's a cruel, crappy person. Ops response, that's a great story. I just wanted to thank everyone for all your advice so far. I have a lot to think about and I'm pretty set on breaking up with her, but as someone else suggested, I do want to talk to her and see what she says if I actually confront her about what she did being wrong. The story she told me made me sad, but the response of all of you made me really happy to see so many great people and to know that I wasn't overthinking it. By the way, I can't find the comment now, but someone said she probably teases dogs by holding food over its face. Just wanted to say you're correct. That's what she did the first time she ate near my dog until I told her to stop. I hate when people do that, but I know a lot of people do, so I didn't think much of it. But seriously, amazing prediction. Thanks for helping connect the dots. Update, 3 days later. Hey everyone, first I wanted to say thanks for all the advice you gave me originally. I asked the question thinking I was overreacting, but as I read some of your responses, especially from those who had traumatic experiences themselves, it sort of knocked some sense into me, so I appreciate that. That being said, this was still pretty hard for me even though we've only been together for 3 months. I know that sounds silly, but it's true. I decided to take the advice of talking to her before breaking up. People wanted to know what the result was, so I'll try to briefly give you the gist of it. Last night, we hung out for a couple hours, and to be honest, we really had a great time together and it was hard for me to even have this conversation at the end of it. I wanted to just move on and ignore the red flag, but I knew it shouldn't be ignored. I brought up the kid she told me about again, but I did it very casually, not like I was gonna lecture her or something, so her guard was still down. She started laughing just at the mention of him. She casually told me another story of her friend's antics with him. I then asked her why they liked to mess with him so much. She paused for a second and then kind of giggled and said, I don't know, he was just a jerk. I asked, why was he a jerk? Did he do something to you to make you mad at him? She said, not really, he was just so stupid and naive it was annoying. There was a pause because I didn't really know how to follow up to that answer, then she continued and said, exact words, he had no purpose, he was just there to make people laugh. It really made me sad to hear that because I wanted there to be some explanation that reduced the cruelty of the situation, but there wasn't. I got kind of angry, and I just told her that everything she told me was absolutely horrific, that she should think about how she would feel if someone did these things to her. I said that to torture an innocent person just because it's entertaining is a totally inhuman thing, and the fact that she still has the same mindset today shows how immature she is on top of it. I'm normally not harsh like that, but it just came out. While I was talking, she gave me a look of total incredulity, like she thought I was joking or going insane or something. I told her I can't continue a relationship with somebody like this even though we had such a great thing up to this point. I actually had to convince her I was serious and not joking around. She thought the real reason I wanted to break up was this minor thing that happened a couple weeks ago. She just couldn't believe that I was ending the relationship because of this. Once she knew I was serious, she got extremely angry, saying that I was just getting off on shaming her because I wanted to abuse her, and that I have no right to talk to her like that and so on. She called me all kinds of names and said how she never liked me anyway and how I'm a loser, etc., but other than that, we parted ways smoothly. I got some angry texts this morning which I'm saving for a while just in case. So there it is. I honestly feel better already because I know it's for the better, especially considering her reaction. I figured I'd give you this update since everyone seemed pretty interested in the situation. Thanks again. My fiancé's childhood friends confronted me saying I was forcing her to accept heirloom jewelry she didn't want, called me emotionally abusive, so I kicked them out of our wedding party, then found out they told her ex she had schizophrenia to make him ghost her. Posted by u/isopod substantial 465. My girlfriend and fiancé, 32F, and I, 33M, have been together for 4 years. We met through common friends, and after a while of casually hanging out, we began dating and now are engaged. She has a core friend group of 4 people including her. 2 guys, one of whom is her cousin, and a girl, and they have been very close since childhood. When I had first met the other 3 before we had begun dating, they seemed like nice people, fun to hang out with. But when I was reintroduced to them as her boyfriend, things were different. I knew they were judging me, which is fine. I knew there would be a friend's test I would have to go through, but now 4 years later, it still feels like I'm being tested. So, for some background, my girlfriend is sweet, caring, empathetic, and sensitive. She has been hurt in past relationships. We have spoken about it briefly. She gets upset when we talk about it, so I have never pushed her much, but from what I know, while she was never physically abused, they were still toxic relationships. May have involved emotional abuse. Considering that, I get her friends being protective. Early when we were dating and gradually became serious, her friends always found ways to, I don't know how to explain this, show me my place in her life, if that makes sense. They would whisk her away if we were together, barge into our dates. She shares everything with them, so they knew where we were going on dates. The only way I could get her to myself is if I planned a surprise getaway, but how many of those can you do? When I reached my saturation point, we talked. She has a blind side with them and never noticed what they were doing. After I pointed it out and she saw it happen the next time they did it, she called them out, threatened to stop talking to them. After a bit of bickering, they relented and apologized to her, not me. Anyway, things got much better after that. Cut to recently, I know she is the one for me. I love her immensely. In my culture, we don't have the whole proposing with a ring, but I knew she has always wanted that. I picked out a ring that belongs to my grandmother. It is part of a jewelry set. In our tradition, when we get married, the new bride is welcomed to the family with the elders presenting her with heirloom jewelry. I know my grandmother will be giving her the remaining jewelry set as a wedding present. My parents and other elders in the family will also be gifting similar things. The thing is, these sets, they are traditional. I guess what I am trying to say is that they may be too gaudy by modern standards. My girlfriend loved the ring even though it isn't like the more conventional engagement rings. I know all these sets she will eventually get, she won't wear, probably ever. She likes to keep her style simple, but I just thought that gold is an asset. Even if she doesn't wear them, they're hers for any other use in life. My girlfriend knows all of this. She never said anything about it. Cut to a week back, the trio came over when my girlfriend wasn't home. They said that I was being selfish, that under the garb of tradition, I was forcing my girlfriend to accept gifts she doesn't want. Mind you, we do have a bridal registry set up, and I know for a fact many family members, friends, and colleagues have already selected items from there. I told them that what my family gives to my girlfriend isn't their business. They said that I was no different from her past partners. I was also being emotionally abusive and gaslighting her. My girlfriend had previously asked me to make her 2 guy friends my groomsmen. My brother is my best man, and I had agreed to make her happy, but after what they said, I told them then that they were no longer my groomsmen. When my girlfriend got back, I told her what happened. While she agrees that her friends had no right to comment on the gifts my family give her, and she clarified that she does not share their opinion, she does feel I went too far and overreacted by removing her friends from the wedding party. She had always wanted all 3 friends to be a part of her wedding, and my rejection now means that won't happen. Am I the jerk? Relevant comments. Commenter 1, NTA. I wonder if the past relationships of your girlfriend were truly abusive or if her friends gaslighted her in believing they were. Ops response, this is difficult for me to find out. Like I said, she doesn't like talking about it, and the only other way I could find out is if I snooped around behind her back, and I just don't want to do that to her. Commenter 2, I'm so sorry this happened. Being a groomsman is an honor, not a rite of passage because they are friends of the bride. They have disrespected you and do not deserve the privilege of standing next to you during the ceremony. NTA. Choose people that support and love you. Ops response, thank you for the support. I am determined on not taking them back as my groomsmen and have already reached out to my cousin and a close friend to fill in. They have happily accepted. Op on the discussions of gifts with his fiancée. Op's response, we have talked about the gifts. When I said elders, it will only be my grandmother, my parents, my uncle, my mother's brother, and aunt, my father's sister, who will be gifting her the heirlooms. Most others will be gifting from the registry. I had told her that if she doesn't want the jewelry, then all the above people will pick something from the registry. The jewelry will simply be kept aside for my sister. She said that while the jewelry isn't something she would usually pick for herself, she still thinks they are beautiful pieces. I am Indian, and sometimes when she attends my family events, she does wear a sari. Looks gorgeous and she carries it so well. She says when she attends such events post-marriage, she could always wear the jewelry then since it wouldn't look out of place. I believe her when she says she loves the engagement ring and that she's okay with getting the heirloom jewelry as wedding presents. She said she had talked to her friends about the gifts and shown them pictures of the sets she was going to get. She never said she didn't want them. They assumed based on the fact that they aren't things she usually likes. Commenter 3, your girlfriend does not want to choose between you and her 3 friends. The 3 friends do not want to lose the girlfriend to you. You need to stand your ground. Until or unless your girlfriend clarifies her relationship with the 3 friends, a marriage would be doomed. Op's response, I know if I pushed her to choose, she would probably pick me. I say probably only because nothing is 100% sure in life, but I also know it would break her heart to do so. I worry that if that happens, she may resent me in later life for being the reason her childhood friendships broke. Commenter 4, when you 2 get married, the friends should quietly show up less. You say your culture a lot. If you're a different race, then believe racism is what's happening here. Seems the friends are picking on you. Maybe her other relationships weren't toxic. Maybe the other boyfriends just told the friends off and put them in their place. Besides picking friends, any other flaws your fiancé might have? Ops response: I am a different race. I am Indian. I am not sure if race is the issue. While my fiancé, her cousin, and the non-cousin guy friend are white, the girl in the group is biracial, and in our larger circle of friends, there are people from many different races. That doesn't tend to be a problem. Her three stooges have always given me the cold shoulder, but I've never really gotten racist vibes from them. While I don't get along with her core trio, I am on good terms with her family. Her parents and younger siblings have been very warm and welcoming. Even her work friends and colleagues are nice. I am sure my fiancé, like everyone else, has flaws, but not sure how fixating on that will help. Update, 3 days later. Buckle up. This is going to be a really long post, so I decided to post the update separately. First up, thank you to all the people who shared their support and for the comments that eventually led to a lot of things getting cleared up. I knew asking for advice on Reddit is a double-edged sword. While many of the comments were helpful and encouraged me to seek some much-needed answers, others were more divisive, but I knew what I was signing up for when I posted here, so I accept it as a part and parcel of the Reddit experience. These past few days have been nothing short of a chaotic roller coaster. So much has happened in such short time, but before I get into everything, I want to make one thing very clear: my girlfriend and I love each other deeply. She is a genuinely good person. I know that my original post may have unintentionally portrayed her in a negative light. The truth is, while she has been incredibly naive when it comes to her stooges and has often been easily manipulated by them, she has always stood up for me when it truly mattered. Her heart has always been in the right place. She did say that I overreacted when I kicked out the guys from the wedding party, and she was disappointed that all her 3 friends wouldn't be a part of the wedding, but that wasn't her only reaction. She also agreed that her friends had no right to come into our home and insult me. They had no right to make statements on her behalf about the jewelry, especially since they were false statements. After I changed the groomsmen to my cousin and friend, she supported the decision and did not insist that I take her friends back. After the incident, she hadn't immediately reached out to the trio to talk to them about what they did. She is not a confrontational person. She is not someone who can counter-argue on the spot, so usually when she knows there is going to be, let's say, an explosive conversation, she usually likes to write down points of what she wants to say, what she would say if this point was brought up, how would she respond if they said this to defend their action, like that. She likes being prepared, I guess is what I am trying to say. Especially with the trio, because when such situations arise, she's usually defending me and our relationship, and it's always 3 against 1. I have tried in the past to help her, but I dislike, understatement, these guys enough that if I get involved in their conversations, it just always turns into a verbal spat, and it just makes her more stressed. Yes, she has missed several glaring red flags when it comes to her friends, but missing red flags does not automatically make someone a bad person. From her point of view, these people were the backbone of her social life. They have been in her life since childhood, and she has always seen them as supportive, protective, and caring. When you are that close to someone for that long, it can be extremely difficult to recognize toxicity. From the outside looking in, it might seem like she was being intentionally blind or refusing to accept reality, but when you're the one trapped inside that bubble, it is a lot harder to see things clearly. I had explained this in a comment on my previous post, but because people kept repeating the same questions, I thought it best to include it here again. We have had open conversations about the gifts before. She also told me that she had shown her friends pictures of the jewelry and talked to them about the gifts. She never once said she didn't want them or didn't like them. They simply assumed she wouldn't like them because they were not her usual style, but as it turned out, even that assumption was not innocent. We later found out that it was just another manipulation on their part. To those telling me to leave her and run, that is not going to happen. We are not breaking up, but the wedding has been postponed, and here is why. A few of you pointed out something I had missed, that the non-cousin guy friend, let's call him Ray, may have feelings for my girlfriend. To be honest, I always saw the trio as a package deal and never really paid attention to their individual behaviors, but after reading so many of your comments, it stuck in my head. So I asked her directly if there had ever been anything romantic between them. At first, she laughed it off, but when she saw I was being serious, she told me that yes, years ago, right after she had broken up with her high school boyfriend and was about to leave for college, Ray had asked her out. All 4 of them ended up going to different colleges. She had no romantic feelings for him and said no. She saw him more like a brother. He was upset about it at the time and did not speak to her for a few months but eventually came around. Since then, he never brought it up again, and she assumed it was just a passing crush and he had moved on. We talked in detail about her past relationships. She has dated 3 guys before me, not counting her high school boyfriend. None of those relationships were long-term. The longest one lasted around 7 months and took place while she was working abroad on a project. That relationship ended amicably when she returned home. The trio never met him. The other 2 relationships lasted barely 2 months, perhaps even less. She told me that in both cases, she genuinely believed things were looking promising, and then suddenly they just stopped replying to her texts and calls. They ghosted her completely. She said it made her feel unwanted and undesirable, and the trio was always there to help her get over the heartbreaks. She told me that after the breakup with her high school boyfriend and the guy from abroad, she still felt confident in herself, but after getting ghosted twice in a row, she lost a lot of her self-esteem. She said that her reluctance to talk about her past relationships was because she thought that if she told me what happened, I would see the same flaws and problems in her that they did and ghost her too. That explains so much about how she behaved early in our relationship. When we first started dating, she was very meek. That is probably the best word for it. She has always been soft-spoken, but back then it felt like she was afraid to be too much or too little. It took her time to feel safe and relaxed, but when she did, she was a completely different person, warm, funny, and so much more herself. Interestingly, she did not introduce me to the trio as her boyfriend. I had met all four before through mutual friends, until we had been dating for a while. I had met her parents before I was formally reintroduced to them as her boyfriend. She told me she wanted to be really sure about me before bringing me into their circle. She was afraid that if things did not work out, she would end up relying on them again to help her through another heartbreak. She admitted she never tried to find out why the guys ghosted her because she was afraid they might say something cruel and humiliating that would end up damaging her self-confidence even more. But one of those exes turned out to be an acquaintance of a friend from my workplace. I know I said I didn't want to snoop, but after everything I had read and the doubts growing in my head, I needed answers. I reached out to him and asked if he would be willing to meet. He agreed. Right at the start, I told him I held no ill will toward him. I just wanted to understand. What he told me was beyond anything I expected. He said that he had genuinely liked my girlfriend and saw potential for something long-term, but he decided to pull away because he had been told she had schizophrenia, and he felt that he wasn't prepared to take on the responsibility of being in a relationship with a lunatic, his words. I was stunned. My girlfriend does not have schizophrenia. I have been with her for 4 years and lived with her for nearly 2. If she had such a condition, I would know. He said it was her friends, the Stooges, who told him that. He even praised them, saying they were good people for warning him about her condition before things got serious. They were the ones who advised him to discreetly stop contacting her and not make a scene by breaking up with her. They told him that because of her condition, if he tried to break up with her in person, she may end up doing something crazy, hurt him or even unalive herself. He said he was disappointed that she had tried to hide such a serious condition from him. He warned me to stay away from her. I asked if during the time they were together, did he notice anything about her that would confirm that she was suffering from schizophrenia. He said that while she never showed any obvious symptoms, he believed that she was ill because why would her friends, ones who were so close to her, lie? I just sat there seething hearing such BS. I am glad I had the foresight to record the entire conversation. I played the recording for my girlfriend. I knew it would devastate her, but she had to know, and she was heartbroken. She cried a lot. She refused to eat. It was unbearable to watch, but I think it was necessary. She eventually picked herself back up, and together we decided to confront her friends. She invited them over, saying there were some changes to the wedding plan she wanted to discuss. I am pretty sure they showed up thinking she was going to call off the engagement or say something equally dramatic after the stunt they had pulled with me. Since she hadn't reached out to them after the incident, for all I know, they probably thought their stunt had worked. Instead, she told them exactly what the ex had said and asked why they had lied to him. They denied it and immediately tried to blame me, saying I was trying to isolate her and ruin her lifelong friendships. That is when she played the recording. Even after hearing it, they still tried to deny it, but she was done playing games. They finally cracked and said that they had always thought she and Ray would make a great couple. They justified their actions by saying that since they had all been friends for so long, my girlfriend was too close to the situation to see how well suited she and Ray were. They admitted that she had never once said anything bad about the heirloom jewelry, but they believed that if they could create a conflict around it, I would take it personally because the jewelry was tied to my family and culture, and that would make it a sensitive enough issue to create tension between us, which they could further exploit to draw a wedge. Most of this was revealed by her cousin. Of the three, he seemed at least a bit repentant of what they had done, had been doing for so long. We were both stunned by the sheer level of calculated manipulation. These people genuinely thought they were being good friends. My girlfriend ended the friendship on the spot. She told them to leave immediately and never contact her again. They tried to talk her out of it. She threatened to call the police if they did not leave, and only then did they finally go. And that brings me to the last part. Yes, the wedding is postponed. These were her childhood friends. Their families were also close because of the long history. Plus, one of them is her cousin, so literally her family. The fallout has caused a major shockwave. Her parents were furious when they found out what had happened and have been fully supportive of her decision to cut them off. They have stood by us. The news of the three getting booted out of the wedding and our lives immediately spread to our circle of friends, mostly because the Stooges wanted to spread their lies to gain sympathy. They were reiterating their BS about me being abusive and how I am trying to isolate her by removing them from her life. But a lot of our friends were aware of the crap attitude they had towards me for the longest time and didn't believe them outright. They reached out to us, and we shared our side. Now most of our friends are backing our decision to go no contact with them, barring a few who have taken a more neutral stance and even fewer who believe that they were being idiots but deserve a second chance since they've been friends for so long. Her younger brother, who is dating the girl's cousin, also thinks she overreacted. He believes going no contact with such old friends was too harsh, especially since their sabotage failed and we are still together, so they deserve a second chance. He is just 21 and an idiot. Neither of us cares about his opinion or the opinion of anyone who says we're being too harsh by going no contact. The trio's parents, especially Ray's, have also been creating noise. Turns out they, Ray's parents, may have known about what the Stooges were doing. They were apparently very enthusiastic about the idea of my girlfriend becoming their future daughter-in-law. That is not happening. We have been bombarded with messages over the last 12 hours from friends and family and, of course, the Stooges. Most have been supportive. Some judgmental. The trio has been messaging my girlfriend constantly. The last we checked, there were nearly 80 messages from them. She hasn't read any. Says she wants nothing to do with them ever again. If this behavior continues, we will be looking into getting a restraining order. Not sure yet if we have the grounds for it, but we'll see what can be done. I think the worst of it is behind us, but the situation is still messy. My girlfriend wants to start individual therapy, and we have both agreed to begin couples counseling. We love each other. We want to do the work. We just need things to settle down a bit more before we move forward with a wedding. I think the best part in all of this is that now not only will they not be the groomsmen when we do get married, but my girlfriend has also replaced her maid of honor with another close friend. Not only will the trio not be a part of our wedding party, they have been uninvited from the wedding along with their families. We might even kick her younger brother out of the wedding if he continues to yap about us overreacting, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I feel lighter already, but I know my girlfriend is hurting. She is putting up a brave face now, but it will take some time to get over this. I hope therapy will help her and us both. Edits and clarifications. We have indeed gone no contact with them but haven't blocked their numbers yet. We will not be blocking their numbers till next weekend, just giving them more time to dig their own graves. After that, we will document the messages for posterity and then block them. In due time, we are looking into sending cease and desist letters on the grounds of defamation and slander. It's only been 3 to 4 days and a lot has happened so fast, we need some time to just calmly think about our next steps. We have shared the recording in a common friends group chat. If that finds its way to social media somehow, well, so be it. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, wow, what an update. I'm so sad for your girlfriend but also glad it's all out there. Holding off on the wedding until she is in a better place mentally is a great idea. I wish you two the best going forward, and I really hope you never have a reason to post an update unless it's we got married and it was perfect. Side note, your girlfriend reminds me so much of myself when it comes to how she handles confrontation. I found out as a late diagnosis that I have ADHD, it presents differently in females and often overlooked, and because of the ADHD, I also suffer from rejection sensitivity disorder. I don't know if she could possibly be suffering from this, but it was so eerily similar how you described how she handles confrontation that I wanted to bring it up. It's worth looking into. I've come a long way since then, know that I have a basis for why I react that way to confrontation. Ops response, thank you for your well wishes and the suggestions. I'll tell her about it, and maybe she can bring it up with her therapist when she starts her sessions. Commenter 2, all of this in 3 days? Ops response, pretty much. We had most of our discussions the day I posted the first time. I had always known one of her exes was within my circle of acquaintance. I had just never wanted to snoop, but I did. We met up early the next day. It didn't take that long to get the BS from him. From there, things snowballed. We confronted the idiots that night. I wanted to wait a few days, but she didn't. Said she needed to get it all out when she was angry, and now here we are. She took her anger out on them. I am ranting on Reddit. Commenter 3, did you tell the ex that he dumped a nice girl because of some lies? Ops response, I did, but he didn't seem to believe me. Just shrugged his shoulders as if to say it wasn't his problem either way. He spent time with her, never saw any obvious signs for anything, and chose to believe her friends. The way I see it, it was his loss and my gain. Commenter 4, could you and your fiancé elope instead? No need to have outsiders' opinions on ruining the relationship. Ops response, that's actually a great idea, but I am Indian and it already took a lot to convince my family that we didn't want a big Indian wedding. I love my culture and heritage, but both of us agreed that a simple Christian ceremony would be more ideal for us than 3 to 4 days of extravagant rituals and traditions. But eloping would disappoint both sets of parents. They have been so supportive of us, so we don't really want that.
My siblings keep pressuring our almost 80-year-old mom to give them money or her house because they think she has a secret stash from when our stepdad passed, but I organized a GoFundMe to pay off her house and they want me to hand over the account to them. Posted by you/Hethalofpain. My brother, sister-in-law, sister, and brother-in-law feel as if my mom should give them her house and property and move into an old folks' home, or buy them a house. My mom is almost 80. She has all of her faculties about her. She is well educated and very spry. It's mostly my sister and brother causing all the trouble. A few years ago, my stepdad passed. He was a great guy and good to my mom. My older brother and my younger sister are convinced that my mom has secret money left to her when our stepdad died. At first, they thought she had cash hidden in the house, so they'd visit her, and one would keep her busy while the other would snoop. Then they convinced themselves that she had a secret bank account somewhere. No, she doesn't. I do most of her banking and set up her accounts for autopay. She owns her house free and clear. After my dad died, I orchestrated a GoFundMe to get her house paid off. We were successful. They do not know that I did this. They were kept out of the loop for fear they'd pressure her into giving them some of the money. So they have no idea how she paid her house off, only that she had paid it off. They really ramped up the pressure after she paid off the house. Now they are convinced more than ever that she has a secret stash of money. Then we told them about the GoFundMe for her house, hoping they would back off of my mom, but they lost it. They wanted an accounting of the money, and they wanted anything that was in that account turned over to them, threatening to take me to court for elder financial abuse. Now she only has to pay the monthly bills. I set up her autopay, so I know exactly how much money she has. Enough to live but not to have any fun. So I pay her water and cell phone bills for her. I transfer the money to her account every month. They have each told her she needs to give them money for a down payment on a house since she refuses to give up her home of 35 years. If she won't give them any money, then give up an acre to them each. How are they entitled to her money? She receives less than $4,000 a month to live on. I cannot convince them that she doesn't have a secret bank account. The thing that they do not understand is that he is not our bio father and he didn't raise us. They married when we were all out of the house. No matter how many times I point this out, they say that it doesn't matter since they called him dad. It's been a few years, but they still bring it up often. My mom called me last night. She was tired and had worked hard today in her high tunnel. Both of them had been calling for the last few weeks, upping the pressure. The last time they brought it up, they talked about splitting her house and property between the two of them, also mentioning her secret bank account. There are 5 siblings altogether, but since the other 3, houses and careers, are doing better than these 2, they think they are entitled to her home and property after she passes. What they do not know is that she left her house and 5 acres to an animal rescue and activist group that she is very active in. I know because I am the executor of the will. She has asked me not to tell them. How do I get them to back off of her without telling them there's not a snowball's chance in heck that they are getting anything? She does not want them to know about her will for fear they will harass the animal rescue activist group. Relevant comments. Can Op's mother look into getting restraining orders and blocking Op's siblings' numbers? Op's response, I've mentioned that to her several times. She worked in the legal system for a few decades and understands how it works. She's not interested in cutting them off in any way at all. She dearly loves all of her children. Commenter 1, you might consider reaching out to your local version of Adult Protective Services or other elder social services with your county or state. If you think she is at risk for fraud or other scamming influences, they can advise how to protect her or at least document things should it escalate later. Op's response, that's what somebody else advised. I didn't know that you could call them to ask for advice. I thought you only called them to report abuse. This is great advice, and I will be doing this first thing in the morning. Commenter 2, why is Op sharing those information with her siblings about their mother? Op's response, I only share what she allows me to share. My sister's the youngest and my brother's the oldest. Those 2 have always been the golden children. I'm smack dab in the middle, so I'm the people pleaser. I try to keep everybody happy all of the time. She really doesn't want to cut contact with them because then she feels she'll lose contact with the grandkids and the great-grandkids. She doesn't want that on her conscience when she passes. My mom is intelligent and well-educated, but she's also extremely stubborn. Once she's made up her mind, it's almost impossible to change it. Commenter 3, make sure a lawyer looks at the will. In some jurisdictions, leaving a family member out of a will entirely, with no mention of why they are left out, can open it up to being contested. In some places, you leave a token amount to demonstrate that they weren't forgotten. Op's response, several people have mentioned this, and I will go over that with her tomorrow, and then we'll contact the lawyer that created the will and see about adding them and giving them $1 each. Commenter 4, did the witnesses to her signing the will also sign self-proving affidavits that she is of sound mind and was not under any duress when she signed the will and that she knows what is in it? One of the ways that greedy relatives successfully contest wills is through the witnesses. They make courts track down the witnesses to get them to either clearly remember your mother signing the will or not remember her and possibly tossing out the will. There's also the strong possibility that witnesses are gone or have moved and cannot be found, putting the validity of the will in jeopardy. Witnesses to signing wills are often employees in the lawyer's office who don't know you and will have a difficult time testifying in court that they remember you and your state of mind when you signed a will. Op's response, yes. We made sure she was well covered in this aspect because we knew there was going to be issues down the road, and to be honest with you, the house is in disarray, it's falling apart around her, it needs to be raised. It's the property that's worth real money. It's in a prime location in Alaska. Commenter 5, you need a really good estate lawyer. Get power of attorney over everything concerning your mom. Maintain detailed financial records and transactions with your mom's money. That way, they can't accuse you of financial mismanagement. I hope you are on all of her accounts. Your mom needs to go low contact with them. If you have not done so, put up hidden cameras around your mom's house and place nanny cams in the house with a link to all cameras to your phone. The stress could cause her to have a heart attack or stroke. Take care. Ops response: this is all great advice. We do have cameras up. That's how we caught them snooping. Unfortunately, after that, they know there's cameras. Yes, my name is on all of her accounts, and I do keep an accounting of everything online on my computer, which they do not have access to. Commenter 6: what is a high tunnel? Ops response: it's a type of greenhouse. It's huge and it's like a tunnel. She got it through a government program. Op on her mother and the charity, Animal Rescue and Activist Group. Ops response: she's an old farm girl that just loves animals. Right now, she has 3 husky pit bull mixes, about a dozen cats she fosters and helps to place in permanent homes, but we grew up with parrots, chickens, geese, ducks, pigs, an occasional goat, lots of dogs, lots of cats, and aquariums. She used to be one of the premier bird rescues, and we have helped foster and rehabilitate crows and eagles. Commenter 7: Ops should get the locks changed for her mother for good measures so her siblings cannot get in. Ops response: that's a good idea. It is time for her to get new locks on her doors. I'm gonna text my husband and see what he thinks because he can just change them for her. Thank you. Commenter 8: any chances that Ops' siblings were the golden children as of today? Ops response: the youngest was definitely babied. She was born after a miscarriage, and she was a twin. Her twin passed at birth. Commenter 9: these are the kind of people who will break into the property and steal any paperwork looking for bank accounts and safety deposit boxes, and dump the closets and mattresses looking for hidden safes. Talk to your mom about distributing any personal gifts before she passes, like giving away jewelry she wants to go to specific grandchildren, etc., as Christmas or graduation gifts. Resign yourself to this not ending well, and consider security cameras for your property too. Ops response: I firmly believe that they would try to steal paperwork if they could find it. Luckily, we had moved out her major paperwork after my dad had passed. It's in a safety deposit box. Commenter 10: Ops' reason for the GoFundMe after her stepfather's passing. Was her mother destitute? Ops response: yes, she was. His first wife took almost everything. She had let his insurance expire, big mistake, and she was behind on a reverse mortgage and was going to lose the house for less than $20,000. I tried to reason with the title company, but they wanted her home for the land. Her land alone is worth a pretty penny, probably close to $250,000. I set up a GoFundMe to keep her in her home, and at the time, I figured we'd sell everything later for her if she needed it to live on, but she is very active and very spry still. Everyone who donated to the GoFundMe was other family and friends. One close family friend who had worked with my mom for a decade put up $10,000 herself. I donated $2,500. This was the easiest way to reach her family in the States at the time. You try living on $4,000 a month in a remote village in Alaska. Update: 3 months later. So many things have changed since my first post. My mom became very ill with vertigo, edema, and went into AFib. She spent 3 days in the hospital. They think that there is an issue with her pacemaker, but she and her doctor also suspect her high blood pressure meds. She needs to go to a specialist. She heads there tomorrow. During that time, the cat rescue that she was leaving her house and property to basically turned their back on her and didn't go in to help her with the animals that she was caring for, animals that were dropped off by the rescue. She had to scramble to find outside help and pay for it when the rescue was supposed to help her. Apparently, the rescue had lost a large grant, and they are now telling fosters that they are on their own. My mom is feisty, and that ticked her off, so she decided she's not leaving them the property and house anymore. She has decided to make me executor of the will with the stipulation that I will sell the property and divide the proceeds among her grandkids and great-grandkids. I will follow her wishes to the letter. She has directed me not to tell any of them what she plans, to let them still think that it is going to a rescue. As for you all asking about her income, she lives remotely in Alaska. Her closest store is 35 miles away one way. If she wants a Walmart, she has to drive 70 miles one way. Her electricity alone is $600 to $800 a month. Plus, groceries are outrageous. She also has a lot of animals. They keep her alive and happy. She gives 10% to her church and another 10% to charities. She has to pay for car payments, auto insurance, house insurance, water bill, and gas for the truck. If there is anything left, she puts it on an account at the vet so she has a buffer in case one of her animals needs the vet. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, probably stating the obvious, but if her will states the property and house go to the rescue, she must change the will. Ops response: she knows. She is in the process. Commenter 2. Odd timing that her health should change now. Have the entitled siblings been visiting? Ops response: No, we are pretty sure the change was brought on by her high blood pressure meds. She is still going to the heart specialist tomorrow. Commenter 3. If she's struggling for money, why the donations? Ops response: Her church replaced her French drain, replaced her hot water heater, and bought her a hospital bed. So she firmly believes in tithes. As for the other charity, it's animal rescues. She doesn't always give them money, but she does a lot. Commenter 4. You'll never convince them there wasn't a stash of money. If they can't find it while she's living, they'll accuse you of stealing it after she's gone. There is nothing that will tear apart a family faster than money. Commenter 5. Do get a letter from her doctor that at this time she is of sound mind. This may come in handy should the validity of her will be questioned by your siblings. My boyfriend thought I would have been thrilled to date him in high school because he was popular and I was a nerd, but I had to prove to him that I literally didn't know he existed because I was too busy competing for college admissions. Posted by you/no. Job 7202. My boyfriend and I, both 25, went to the same high school. My boyfriend was talking about our high school days. He thought high school me would have been thrilled to date the popular guy because I was a nerd. Mind you, we're 25 and it's 2024. I played along for a bit until I realized he wasn't joking. He literally thought that. I told him that I didn't know he existed. He was surprised and said that he was a popular kid. He played football and was in the popular crowd. He said that I must have been lying. I told him that the nerds never cared about the popular kids in high school because we were fiercely competing amongst ourselves for college admissions. For a backstory on our town, my boyfriend was born and raised there, but I only moved there when I was 13 along with a bunch of other high-achieving kids. That's because an engineering company opened up a branch near that town and brought in a ton of engineers and their families. So it was a sleepy town with a big high school that suddenly got a ton of competitive kids, and I mean insanely competitive. Nobody had time to think about popular kids or really anything but college admissions. I was only getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night regularly. Sports like football or cheerleading, which required 5 days a week of training at school, were out of the question. And I saw the same people regularly because we were all in the same classes. So all of the drama was contained within that group of 50 to 100 or so students. It paid off for me. I got into a top college and had no student loans. It was literally cheaper than the state school. And despite my auto-generated username, I do have a good job that I enjoy. My boyfriend said I'm lying. I don't like being called a liar. So I literally reached out to all of my high school nerd friends, and yep, they didn't know the popular group and the ins and outs of the dynamics like my boyfriend thought. A few people recognized some names, but like I said, we were really focused on competing with each other. He got quiet when I proved my case. He said I humiliated him and I proved my point, and we should never mention high school again. I talked with his sister, and she said that high school was a special experience for him and I ruined his memories. Am I the jerk? Relevant comments. Commenter 1, NTA. I won't echo the peaked in high school thing because while it may have an echo of truth, I also think it's reductive. I think it's more important for your boyfriend to realize that the reason nerds bond together in places like high school, and why weirdos, nerds, freaks, geeks self-identify as such despite implied social stigma, is that it's a conscious act of defiance against the notion that their self-worth is solely defined by the dominant social hierarchy. Ops response: I'm going to be really honest here. It was not about defiance in any way for us. In fact, we played more heavily into a social hierarchy measured by the prestige of your college and perceived pathway. It was a very competitive and unhealthy environment. The reason I or other people didn't care about popular kids or freaks or weirdos is because they weren't competitors. If my boyfriend was a student athlete who had great stats, we would all have known and cared. It's not a good thing, but it's the reality of many high-achieving students in high schools. Commenter 2, NTA, but why does your boyfriend feel a need for others to validate his high school experience? Why can't he just remember it as he did and that be that? Nothing's changed. Commenter 3, NTA. It begs the question why your boyfriend feels the need to feel superior in your relationship. Ops response: he doesn't really have a superiority complex, he just saw those TikToks talking about my boyfriend or girlfriend in high school versus me, thought about us because we were in high school. On the flip side, he loves those jokes about one person having a silly job, like him, while their partner has a serious job with real-world ramifications. I think he just liked the idea of me having a crush on him in high school back in the day when life wasn't complicated and real. Commenter 4, NTA. I also agree with you. I went to a huge high school with around 600 kids in each grade, so 2,400 total. I honestly didn't even know a lot of the kids in my grade and really just stuck to my group of about 50 kids. We were the emo kids. We could have cared less about any other groups of kids and couldn't tell you if anyone was popular. Op's response: that was so similar to my experience. At our graduation, I was like, what the frick are those people? It's not like the smart kids tried to stick together though. Being in the same classes and extracurriculars all the time does that to you. Most of us absolutely hated each other. Commenter 5: I wonder if he has implied or said that he noticed you in high school? There may be non-popularity aspects here. Is he romanticizing your attraction or was expecting that you had noticed him and he is now hesitant to admit that he had noticed you in high school? Maybe a sense of destiny or his internal sense of we were meant to be? It might be too charitable, but it might be worth exploring whether this has messed with his internal narrative of your romance being something that could have begun before it began. Op's response: at the very least, he knew who I was in senior year. I was the first student in like 30 years to get into a certain college and it was all over Snapchat. A few other students had similar accomplishments. So the school thought it was a great idea to plaster our pictures at the front of the school as well as put it on the school district website for months. My boyfriend joked that he fell in love with me because of the awful picture they posted. It was literally the ugliest photo I had ever seen, mustache and eye bags on full display. This was also the school that stapled a list of colleges seniors were going to in their front hallway. Back in the day, it would be a cute way to see where your classmates were going, but when it became competitive, it was basically a mark of shame for kids, which was honestly a shame and quite sad. Update, same day. This is crazy. I didn't expect so many wild replies. It's already on TikTok. I know my boyfriend isn't a loser still stuck in his glory days in high school, so I talked to him and asked why he was upset at me not knowing him in high school. Well, he told me he did have a passing hallway crush on me, mustache, eye bags, and all, which was flattering to hear. He felt offensive because I kind of stomped all over his daydreams of fleeting thoughts of each other. He also literally thought I was lying because he knew of me, and he thought wrongly that I would know him. I hate being called a liar, which made me go on the warpath. Don't worry, I didn't tell my friends why I was asking about my boyfriend's friend group, but they'll probably figure it out. He apologized, and we hugged it out. Honestly, these comments were really wild. People were salivating over my boyfriend being this apparent loser jock character. I wasn't making a statement about anything. My boyfriend and I just ran in different social groups, neither better nor worse than the other. Well, maybe mine was slightly more toxic. We had different social experiences with good and bad points. I can't believe the number of stereotypes about nerds, which I never considered myself, or popular kids in these comments. I was definitely not taking a social stance by not noticing the popular kids, they weren't in my radar. I missed way more days of school than my boyfriend for competitions for my clubs. As a boring person, I didn't have any drama, but I witnessed a lot. There were always parties and sneaking around, but there was always this undercurrent of stress that dominated my school life. I don't regret high school, and I'm grateful for the opportunities and experiences, but I don't want to go back. I'm not better or worse than my boyfriend because of my high school experience. We're all just people at the end of the day. I moved in with my brother and sister-in-law during quarantine, then my brother burst into my room screaming that I ruined his marriage and turned his wife gay because she came out after seeing me live openly as a lesbian. Posted by you/throwzone away. Throw away. I'll keep this short. I'm a 30F, and a lesbian, been out and proud since 2005. I've been living with my brother and sister-in-law since the start of 2019, a year before quarantine happened, but this drama stuff blew up within the last couple weeks. Okay, so I asked to move into my brother and sister-in-law's place for a while so I could save up for a nicer place. My last apartment was in a crap area and I didn't feel safe. They agreed because they knew how dangerous my place was, and my brother thought it would be a good idea for my sister-in-law to have someone around while he was gone. FYI, he's a truck driver and is gone for like over a week at a time and had to leave my sister-in-law home alone. Alright, well their house isn't a mansion, but it's roomy enough to where I could have my then friends with benefits over on some nights a week without worrying that I'd be disturbing my sister-in-law. Their bedroom is like across the house from my room and the guest room, and I asked if it was cool with both beforehand, and they said as long as I and anyone I brought over was quiet and respectful, it'd be okay. So I would regularly bring over friends with benefits or girlfriends if I was dating at the time, but that all stopped once quarantine happened. Well, my brother and I still have our jobs. My sister-in-law and I have been hanging out more, since we're pretty much the only company we get, but I noticed she'd been acting odd for a month or so into the quarantine. But I figured it was just cabin fever jitters, understandable. But then the last few times my brother came home, things between him and my sister-in-law were a little off. I figured they were having a spat and it didn't involve me. Well, apparently it did because my brother came home a couple days ago and things were still tense. I didn't even eat dinner with them, I just ate in my room. But after dinner, I heard yelling from the other side of the house, but before I could get up to check it out, I heard stomping feet, then my brother burst into my room and started cussing me out and saying I ruined his marriage, and my sister-in-law was yelling at him to stop and it wasn't her fault. I'm just so confused. I of course ask what the heck is even happening. I don't think I have enough space to type out the gritty of the conversation, but apparently my sister-in-law is or was a closeted lesbian, and she came out to my brother after dinner. She explained it that seeing me be so happy and out made it hard for her to keep up the lie. I'm still speechless because I had no clue she was anything but straight. I'm not saying gaydar is real, but usually I'll at least get a vibe. But then my brother says I'm an evil jerk and I turned his wife gay, and how he never should have let me move in. My sister-in-law told him to stop, how she would have come out eventually with or without me there. I felt really awkward, and my brother said I need to be gone by the time he returns from his next trip, which was heartbreaking because he really looked like he hated my guts. I feel like such a jerk. My sister-in-law and brother always seemed so happy, like the perfect couple, but I called my friend and she said I'm not the jerk. I'm just tired and unsure. Am I the jerk? Relevant comments. Commenter 1, nah. You didn't turn her gay, she realized she wasn't straight, she told your brother. If anything, Sil was a jerk for potentially stringing your brother along if she didn't have feelings for him, but maybe she thought she could cure her gayness. Super unpleasant for all parties involved, but no one is actually really bad here. Ops response, my sister-in-law said she didn't think she was gay till about 3 years ago, they got married about 7 years previous, and she was too scared to acknowledge it because of the way her crappy parents raised her on top of the fact she had been married to my brother for nearly 4 years by then. She said she mostly kept silent because saying anything would have hurt my brother, and despite everything, she said she cares about him a lot. Commenter 2, I really don't understand how this works, so help me out here. Sil is an adult woman that married your brother. I presume that she had intimate urges her whole adult life, and those apparently didn't include men. Therefore, at no point did she feel any intimate attraction to your brother. Why did she marry him then in the first place? Ops response, I had to ask her this, because at the end of the day, I don't know what it's like to marry someone you're not attracted to, and she said that she's only recently understood that the strong platonic love she felt for the women friends in her life was actually romantic and intimate attraction. She grew up in a very staunchly religious home with very homophobic parents who condemned everything not traditional and heterosexual. Apparently her mother and father openly hated each other and treated her and her siblings even worse. So she grew up with the mindset that her marriage would follow the same tone. So she dated men, felt nothing for them, and the lovemaking was uneventful, but it was expected, so no red flags there. And when she met my brother, they really hit it off, and she assumed that that was her in love. She and my brother had the same hobbies, they liked the same music and just generally synced up perfectly. She said the bedroom stuff was still uneventful, but again, she'd seen the women she grew up around all look unhappy, so that must be normal. She mistook her close platonic love for my brother as romantic love, so they got married. Commenter 3, NTA. If anything, your brother is. I understand that he's hurt, but he's taking his hurt as an opportunity to be homophobic. Anyone who's truly an ally wouldn't say that because they understand that turning someone gay is impossible. Even if it's hard, he should have understood that his wife has always been a lesbian and that it would have come out eventually or she would have lived miserably, and that she's probably still his friend. She did marry him after all. He owes you an apology as far as I'm concerned. Ops response, I'm trying to keep that in mind. He's hurting, but he and I will talk when he's back and had time to think. And yeah, my sister-in-law said she does love him in a way, just not a way he wants, and she wishes she could love him how he wants. She said she married him because she cares about him and she thought that's just how getting married was supposed to be. Commenter 4, NTA, but perhaps you should distance yourself for a bit. He's reacting with anger to this breakup and misdirecting it at you. Hopefully it doesn't take too long for him to see you had nothing to do with it. Ops response, well, I'm in the process of moving out. He made it clear I'm not going to be welcome when he gets home, so hopefully that will help. Update, 2 months later. Hey guys, sorry for the dead silence. Well, I moved out. Got my new place and it's pretty nice. It's weird not having anyone here when I get back from work, but I'm sure that's just because I've been living at my brother's place so long. But I know you all just want to hear about my brother and sister-in-law and not my new place, so. My brother and sister-in-law are definitely getting divorced. I moved out before he got back, just like he wanted. Before I did though, my brother called me and we talked on the phone while he was off the clock. Like a lot of you predicted, he asked if my sister-in-law and I smashed at any point. I'm not proud, but I sort of flipped my crap on him for that. He knows my dating history, he knows how I feel about cheaters. I told him it hurt to know he thinks I'm no better than my cheating ex, that I cared so little about our brother and sister relationship that I'd actually frick his wife, who I reiterated that I only see as a sister, but even if I didn't, I'd still never cheat. He broke down, you guys, full on ugly cried on the phone. It was awkward, but I think he really needed it. He apologized for everything, going ballistic on me, kicking me out during a pandemic, thinking I'd cheat with anyone, everything. I told him thanks, but I need time to forgive him. The hurt's not gonna disappear just because he said sorry, but it helped soothe it, and I said I still love him. He said I didn't have to move out, but I said I was already in the process of getting my new place, so it was fine. I could tell he felt bad still, but I didn't try to placate him. Some of you said I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't say it's okay because it's not. How he treated me isn't okay. But he told me he and my sister-in-law were definitely splitting up. I told him I figured so, what with everything. No counseling can save a marriage where one partner is gay, but I didn't say that. Just that I thought so. He tried to lighten the mood by saying he asked my sister-in-law about the cheating thing first and she flipped her crap on him even worse than I did. He said it jokey, but I can tell he was serious. I asked what she said, and he sorta sounded awkward but said she told him, I found out I was gay, but that doesn't mean I'm some cheating lady. That and just how he was gross for thinking she'd screw some kid, thanks for that, let alone her husband's kid's sister that she's known since said kid was a minor. Also that it was messed up that he just automatically assumed she would hop on the first gay woman in her vicinity when they were still very much married, and it was just all around not received well by my sister-in-law, which I can understand. Being accused of cheating by people you love fricking hurts. Last I checked, things were civil between my brother and sister-in-law. She moved fully into the other bedroom so she and he could have space I guess for when he was home. My sister-in-law is trying to move their divorce along, but from what I've heard, my brother is sorta dragging his feet. I don't know what's going on there, and I haven't asked. Not my business to be honest. Our family is disappointed that they're splitting, but with the circumstances, they understand it's necessary. I talk to my brother a few times a week, just texting, but I told him about how there's support groups for spouses whose partner came out as gay and he should check them out. It would help him through this. He sounded hesitant but said he'd look into it, so that's good. I don't know if he will, but I hope so. I also pointed my sister-in-law in the direction of some threads for people who realized they were gay while in a straight relationship. She was thankful. And that's about it. I still speak to my sister-in-law. I'd feel like crap just cutting her off like some people suggested. She's like my big sister. I've known her for years, and aside from this, she's been nothing but the best wife and sister-in-law ever. So I don't know, we're all moving forward. Sorry nothing super dramatic happened, but at least it wasn't a sad update. Peace everyone, thanks for helping me work this crap out.
My brother-in-law moved in with us rent-free after losing everything, then started slamming doors and throwing things in the trash whenever we play Taylor Swift in our own house, even interrupting my partner's work to rant about her. Posted by you/nofig9534. My partner, 23M, and I, 25NB, are huge Swifties. We own every vinyl, almost all of the cardigans, have her on almost all of our playlists. What can I say, she really does have a song to fit all my vibes, and I even went to the Eras tour. Recently, my partner's brother, 22M, fell on hard times. We moved away about 6 months ago and are renting a very small 2-bedroom house 12 hours away. About 4 months ago, my partner's brother was kicked out of their family home by their mom, long story but she's a real piece of work, and moved in with his partner. That didn't work out so well either. It was a rural area, decently far from the family, and he wasn't able to find a job after almost 2 months. He missed his car payments, lost his car, and then also got kicked out of there. We've all been friends for years, so we offered him our extra room and to help him get off his feet a little bit. He's been here for about 3 weeks now, has found decent employment, and has been a good help around the house. When he moved up here, we knew it would be a drain on our resources. He had $0 to his name, and a huge adjustment for us, but didn't anticipate any huge issues. Now everything is coming to a head. With Taylor Swift's new album coming out, he's really amped up his hatred for her. We can't listen to her in the car, watch any interviews, TikToks, etc. in the living room containing her, play any of our vinyls, or talk about her to each other without him blowing up. I totally get she's not for everyone and respect that. I have friends and family who don't like her music at all and it doesn't bother me. But my brother-in-law hates her, in my opinion an unreasonable amount for a person you've never met. I feel like I'm not allowed to even exist in my own home without inciting an argument. On the rare occasion I do play a handful of Taylor Swift songs, he makes it a miserable experience between slamming doors, stomping around, and making nasty comments. He's even interrupted my partner's work, he works from home, to rant about her and send several fake news articles about her. Most recently tonight, my partner and I were cuddled up on the couch while eating dinner watching the TikToks I've sent him, and there were a few, 3, containing her songs. His brother came down to grab food, we don't always eat together, hung out for 5 minutes, heard 2 TikToks with her music, then got up, huffed and stomped, made a few comments I couldn't catch under his breath, threw his dinner in the trash, and threw his utensils into the sink, loud enough to make me jump, and stormed upstairs. We've tried to talk to him about it and say that he doesn't need to like her, but he needs to respect that we do and learn to tolerate her music in the house. We're not asking for listening parties or anything crazy. We've been pretty mindful, more than I'm comfortable with, about playing her music or talking about her when he's anywhere near. However, I don't think it's unreasonable to say we'd like to be able to have a glass of wine and pop an album on once a week or something after a rough week in our house, where he's living rent-free currently. We pay for everything including his substances. I've even tried to liken it to his favorite artists, pointing out that until that exact moment he never even had an idea I can't stand them either. I've let him play their music, talk about them relentlessly, watch interviews, whatever, and have just kept my mouth shut because I don't see the point in ruining his joy over 10 minutes of my unhappiness. It obviously didn't change anything, aka why I'm posting here. The constant negativity and crapping on something I enjoy has really been getting to me. I've noticed I'm increasingly more irritable and on edge. I don't even want to be around him right now. I don't know where to go from here or how to fix it. He's only been here for 3 weeks, and I've already had to tell my partner his brother may need to move out at this rate. 2 hot takes fam, what do I do? Relevant comments. Commenter 1, he's living rent-free and throwing a fit over your music? The audacity. This isn't about Taylor Swift, it's about his respect for you in your own home. Time for a serious talk about house rules or an exit plan. Ops response, thank you. That's what I've been saying. The level of disrespect is insane. He's been my best friend for 3 years, and now we live together, and my partner and I are helping him financially, and he acts like this? Commenter 2, NTA. I don't like Taylor Swift, but if you're graciously giving me a place to stay when I'm on hard times, your music choices would be my last thought. I'd be more concerned about what chores I could do to pay you back while I look for a job, and to thank you on a daily basis. What to do? Well, he can shut up and contribute to the household or he can move out. Again, I really can't stand Taylor Swift. If someone was kind enough to offer me a home when I needed help, I'd be so grateful. Being a jerk about what music you love is such a terrible thing to comment on. You seem so kind and I'm sorry this is happening. Ops response, thank you. It's nice to know that even people who don't like her music, so valid by the way, can appreciate the absurdity of this situation. You sound great as well. We did just help get him a job, so my partner, I don't drive due to a medical issue, is loaning his car out to him to use to get to and from work. For now, he's working with me, unfortunately, but luckily I'm his boss, at a seasonal job and he should be set to start at a different job on the 20th. I'm hopeful that once he's working more, I'll have some free time to actually relax after work and listen to my music, but for now, I'm exhausted of this situation, so I think it's time for another talk tomorrow. Commenter 3, dude's acting like a toddler throwing tantrums over someone else's music taste while living rent-free in your house. The audacity is honestly impressive. You're literally paying for his substances and he can't handle hearing Taylor Swift for 3 minutes without losing his crap. Time to set some real boundaries because this isn't sustainable. Ops response, thank you for the validation. I totally agree this isn't sustainable. I'm very neurodivergent, have been suffering from depression for a while, and don't have a lot of things that bring me joy like music does, and now I don't even have that. It's infuriating and upsetting. Do you have any advice on how you'd go about setting boundaries? I feel like it's unreasonable to tell him that if he can't get with the program, he'll have to get out, he won't have anywhere to go at all after us, but since having a reasonable conversation didn't work, I'm not sure where to go from here or how else to get my point across. Commenter 4, you have bad taste in music, but he's a guest. But let's differentiate a tiny bit. Is this simple music playing in the house at a low normal volume, or are you blasting it? Because if you blast music I hate all the time, even if I'm a guest in your house, it's probably going to drive me nuts and make me cranky as heck. Why is this post not solved by the wonderful modern invention of headphones? I know they're kind of new and all, but like, can't you just use headphones? This post sounds like a volume fight disguised as a music fight to me anyway, and if you're blasting crap where someone can't get any peace, even as a guest, I kind of see how that'd grate and make them act up a little. Just wear some freaking headphones, they're cheap. Ops response, I have headphones and use them frequently, but I don't want to wear headphones in the car when I have a perfectly functioning sound system, completely avoid using my record player to play my 15 plus records of hers, and avoid talking to my partner about whatever I want to talk about to my partner. I play the music at a reasonable volume. When I'm playing it in the living room, you can't hear it in either bathroom, any of the bedrooms, or downstairs. It's common for my partner or brother-in-law to come down and remark that they didn't know I was even playing music. If it's something they like, I get a "oh so you're having a jam out without me?" So it's definitely completely avoidable. I tend not to blast music at all. I'm disabled and have chronic migraines anyways, so loud music gives me a headache. But the outbursts happen regardless. If he walks past us while we're watching TikToks together on our phones on the couch while he's off doing his own thing, talking in the kitchen while putting groceries and he needs to walk through, etc. Even if I was blasting it sometimes, I think slamming doors, throwing things, interrupting work to complain unprompted, etc. is inappropriate behavior. I've also gifted him his own earbuds and am in the process of turning the garage into a hangout and smoke spot for him and my partner. Ultimately, it's my home and he's a guest, and I'm just looking for advice on how to bring this up to him without damaging our relationship any further or kicking him out, as he'd be homeless. I don't think having to wear headphones, completely avoid using vinyls, and not listening to a single Taylor song in the car when he needs a ride somewhere is a good solution though. I'd completely understand if I was blasting it or listening to it excessively, but as it is, in the past 3 weeks, I've listened to one vinyl at a decent volume after fair warning and a total of no more than 10 songs in the entire time besides the vinyl. Update, next day. Hey, 2 Hot Takes fam. Thank you so much for your input on my last post. With the exception of a few people, the comments were really affirming and helped me to pull my head out of my butt, man up, and face the situation more directly. I went ahead and deleted the post just in case. As I caught a few people I know in real life peeping it, my fault for putting everyone onto the pod. We waited until he was in a good mood, then my partner and I sat him down and laid everything out on the table. We told him that his reactions to our music made us feel like we were walking on eggshells and being held hostage in our own home. We told him we were starting to become resentful and considering drastic measures if things didn't change. We made it clear that we were happy to help him to an extent, and clarified the extent, but only if he could remain respectful. We clearly set the expectation that in this house, our house, we don't throw things, slam things, yuck anyone's yum, or yell. We made sure to address it all delicately but firmly. We asked if he'd felt respected in the house and if there was anything deeper going on mentally. He let us know about some personal things he was struggling with, and we worked together to make a game plan going forward. So to those of you who pointed out it was likely a lot of change at once and there was probably a deeper mental health issue occurring, thank you. He recognized and acknowledged that his reactions were inappropriate as well as unwarranted. He apologized for his responses and disrespect, thanked us for being willing to put so much effort into making him understand how his actions were affecting us, and how mindful we've been about playing her music, while admitting we've been objectively overly conscious. He agreed that the frequency we were asking for wasn't unreasonable, 45 minutes a week after a rough day over dinner without him, talks in private conversations not including him, during activities not including him like watching TikToks on the couch as he walks by, and a song here or there when running errands for several hours. He confirmed we weren't listening too loudly, that he wasn't able to hear it in his room or upstairs at all, and that we should be able to sparingly listen to her music in common spaces, as we allow him to do as well. We came to the conclusion together that his frustration has been building since his feed has been full of her stuff recently with the recent album. The fact that this is likely due to his interactions with her hate videos is a discussion for another time, though we did bring this up at surface level, and he's been taking that frustration out on us. We collectively agreed that it's just better for him to keep his mouth shut going forward. Ultimately, there's nothing we could say, if we ever tried, to make him like her, and on the flip side, there's nothing he can say to make us not like her. We know how he feels, he knows how we feel, and there's no point in beating a dead horse. So basically, he's been overexposing himself. It was good to hear him come to the conclusion this whole situation was 99% his own fault and tell us that we weren't doing anything wrong. Honestly, neither of us were expecting the level of accountability he took. All 3 of us have got headphones. We gave him a pair of earbuds about a week ago, and will continue to keep them in heavy rotation for longer listening sessions of music others don't enjoy, as we have been doing, while doing chores or whatever around the house if we're all out in common spaces. We're going to continue working on turning our garage into a hangout space for the boys. He'll be paying an agreed upon amount, under market value, for rent, utilities, groceries once he receives his first paycheck, and will be covering his own expenses, substances, vapes, gas, etc. as well. I've agreed to teach him budgeting and basic finance management techniques to help him get on his feet faster and take the necessary steps towards independence. I'm planning to surprise him with a few vinyls of his own of his favorite artists so that he feels we're on more equal ground, not a complaint of his, just an idea my partner and I agreed on, for Christmas, though I'll likely give them to him early. We already have a few vinyls of artists we all enjoy. Our lease renews in April. Until then, we'll be having bi-weekly sit-downs to go over concerns and we'll re-evaluate our living situation at lease renewal, if he's still here then, if all goes well, sooner if things don't improve. The mood in the house is great now. I thought there might be some tension after the discussion, but it went over very well. We ended the discussion by saying that we all loved each other, only wanted the best for the household, and that everyone deserved to feel happy and safe in the home. We're all sitting down now, getting ready to eat dinner together and watch a movie. So I thought I'd update you guys while I wait for my pot roast to be done. Thanks again, y'all. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, there are so few happy conclusions on Reddit. I am frankly thrilled how well this worked out and how everyone handled this. Enjoy your pot roast, Taylor, and as I said in my comment on your original post, you just sound like a very kind person. I hope you have a wonderful life. You are an amazing person and deserve only the best. Ops response, truly, thank you so much for your comments. Despite the validation, because his responses were so extreme, I really began to question if I was acting entitled, inappropriate, rude, people calling me a jerk didn't help for sure, or something. I reread your comment several times, shared it with my partner, and screenshotted it to reread if the need arises later or show it to my brother-in-law if things don't improve and I ever tell him about the original Reddit post. Thank you, kind internet stranger. I hope your pillow is always cool, and to quote Taylor Swift, you should have what you want, you deserve what you want, I hope you get what you want. Wishing all the best for you. Commenter 2, y'all handled this with so much maturity, I'm impressed. It's not something you often see on Reddit. Good on you. Commenter 3, I love it when adults adult so beautifully. Compassion, consideration, and some compromise. You guys did so well and probably handled it better than I would have if someone attacked my hobby, artist, tastes. Wishing you guys the best. Commenter 4, dang, this is actually wholesome as frick, love to see it worked out. Most of these stories end with someone getting kicked out or worse. Props for actually sitting down like adults instead of just letting it fester. Ops response, thank you. I knew that kicking him out was an absolute last resort. After all, before all of this, he was my best friend, still is, and he'll always be my brother-in-law. That aside, being responsible for someone's homelessness without first exhausting all other avenues would actually end me, I think. Commenter 5, congratulations on handling this so well, and I love how everyone showed up as their best selves. It sounds like you've opened up a lot of communication and established a solid plan for moving forward. I was thinking about what you said about your partner's and brother-in-law's mom, and this situation sounds like a great way to create the family you all want and need. I hope you enjoyed your movie and pot roast family time. Also, kudos for seeing kicking brother-in-law out as a last resort. I get the sense you're a highly empathetic person, and the world needs more like you.
My brother hacked into all my accounts and put a camera in my bathroom to control my life. Then when I got a restraining order, my parents disowned me and sent me a video of them burning my belongings while defending him. Posted by you/difficult path. I'm in my second year of undergrad at the State University in California, and I'm having an issue with my brother who is in his late 20s and a computer engineer. This is relevant to my issue. As a side note, I know very little about computers other than basic Googling skills. My brother is a very type A person, very perfectionist and hardworking, often to the detriment of himself and others. He is a nice and positive person and is successful in the traditional sense, but he is very controlling and has a bit of an overblown ego. I'm a much more relaxed person, and the two of us share very little in the way of interests or guiding philosophies. I'm a visual arts major who likes to draw, and he's the type of person who watched Fight Club and thought that Tyler Durden was onto something. We get along but have hostilities. My brother resents the fact that I am not like him and that I don't look up to him as a role model. He is very fond of mocking my interests, hobbies, career plans, and he often talks literally about a plan for me in which I change my major to engineering and start taking his advice. When he brings this up now over the phone, I stop talking to him for whatever amount of days or weeks until he apologizes, and we do it all over again. 2 weeks ago, my brother made a joke referencing a piece of digital art I drew on my laptop. I didn't think anything of it until I realized after the call ended that I never posted that piece of art anywhere, not even onto any cloud service. It had only been available on my physical laptop. I was nervous and downloaded Malwarebytes, but it didn't find anything. Thinking back, I also recalled my brother making a joke about something I said to a friend privately on my Discord, which also was not publicly available. Checking Gmail and a few other websites I'm on that showed options, I discovered someone had been logging into my accounts from an unfamiliar computer and had then been doing so for about a week. I called my brother about this, and he laughed and told me that he had remote access to my computer and that he'd be checking up on everything I was doing from this point on. I told him that that was ridiculous, and he basically laughed and said that people today have no reasonable expectation of privacy anyway. Without going into detail, I basically discovered that my brother literally has access to everything in my life. My bank account, school account, my art and chat accounts, all the files on my computer. He has even referenced information that leads me to think there is a very good chance of him having a camera or microphone in my room. He has been in my apartment in the last month, and the only reason I think he might not is because I haven't been able to find it. There is nothing on my computer or cloud files or anything I'm even remotely embarrassed about, but the idea that my brother has all my information is terrible, and I want him to stop. I don't feel comfortable in my apartment using my computer or personal accounts anymore. I'm writing this from my school's library. Is there a way to clearly show him that this is wrong with an amount of force and guarantee my privacy in the future without getting him in serious trouble? My brother is an idiot, and I'm upset at him for this, especially in the way where he acts like it's a joke or that he's doing it to mentor me, which he keeps saying, like he has called me knowing my class schedule, which I never told him, and reminded me to go to classes, etc., but I don't want his life should be ruined over this even if he is a jerk. He has also joked about dropping my classes, which I got really upset at, and he assured me it was a joke, but I still feel uncomfortable that he'd even hint at that. Thanks. Update 1, next day. Without going into a lot of detail, based on some of the stuff I read on here and a conversation with a friend, I realized that the way I viewed the relationship with my brother was incredibly messed up, and I decided to act more seriously about this. I was thinking about how to proceed last night while cleaning, and then I actually found a camera. I know I said I thought there was one before, but I don't think I really consciously did. It was in my bathroom. I have gone to the police station and for now have an injunction against my brother. I also reported the computer hacking along with texts and a phone message he sent where he both alludes to and directly confirms it, so I don't know what'll happen, but I feel a lot better having taken this right. I appreciate the comments people sent. It helped a lot. Thanks. Update 2, 8 days later. Without exaggeration, this was probably the worst day of my life. After getting served the injunction and temporary restraining order thing, my brother 1 told my parents, and 2 chose to immediately violate it. He left me several messages that essentially were low-key threatening to ruin my life, and I was scared, so I reported it. He was taken to jail, and to my current understanding is going to get a type of misdemeanor charge for it if he already hasn't. I don't know if he's in jail right now. I knew my parents were going to take his side, but they have effectively disowned me for this. My parents are very religious conservative Catholics. I'm not religious anymore, but they don't know that, and they were very upset by me reporting it. That's an understatement. I have enough scholarships where I will be able to continue paying for my living expenses and school with my part-time job, but the way they treated me was horrible. They're very upset because this'll probably screw up his college according to the talks we've had. They said I'm disgusting and not welcome home, etc. My dad sent me a video of him and my mom burning most of the belongings I left at his house, not much important to me but still. They don't believe me about the camera, and my dad said he specifically didn't care even if it was there, just screaming the entire time. I stopped answering my phone and checking my email because it terrifies me. I bought a new cheap computer because even though someone helped me wipe it clean, I'm honestly too scared of using the old one at this point. I haven't left my room in a week. The worst of it is over, I think, but I feel like I fell in a pit. I can't stop crying. Update 3, 1 month later. Hi, still in California. I'm having some new problems since my last update, and I'm unsure how to handle them. I'd like to say things have been good, but they haven't. I had to stop school this semester because I've become extremely depressed and couldn't handle the workload of both school and work and some personal things I'm focused on related to my orientation. Planning on going back next semester. Really can't focus on anything past work, and my life feels very empty right now. Need to leave the house more and talk to someone who isn't a customer. My brother is still in police custody and still in the process of getting convicted, which apparently takes much longer than I'd thought. My parents and a few random people their age who I think they have recruited for this have been continually harassing me through various electronic means and random phone numbers. They do *67 or something, and spreading false rumors about me, and I was too depressed to deal with it properly with another restraining order or other thing, so it's just been easier to ignore. My main problem at the moment is that I'm trying to get a new job, but I can't because I need my social security number. When I broke off with my parents and this happened, I had some of my important documents with me, but not the ones that college students won't use on a daily basis: passport, social security number, birth certificate. I'm embarrassed, but I don't have it memorized. The last time I needed it, my parents sent me a picture before all this happened, but I no longer have that in my texts. I called my parents to send them to me and tried to make it sound like I'd call the police if they didn't, and my father implied that he either burned them or would never give them to me. He didn't visibly burn them in the video he sent, but I don't know if that was everything. I have trouble talking to him right now, and I couldn't maintain it. I tried calling his parish leader who I know, and he told me he talked to my parents about not giving me the info and harassing me, but it hasn't done anything if he did. Surprise, surprise. The only documents I have to prove ID are my permit and my school ID, which is useless in this scenario. I need more documents if I want to get a new social security card. I'm also scared of my parents having this information because I think they might try to mess with my life. I'm afraid that if I call the police, my dad will just claim that he never had it and burn it or hide it forever, and then I'm screwed without any way to fully prove my current identity to get new documents. Also, I want to change my name, and I'd appreciate if anyone knows the best way to go about doing that or if it'd be too much of a pain right now. Not that big of a deal and honestly still lazy, but would make me feel better if it's not a big thing. Thank you very much. The people here have been very helpful to me at a point in my life when I don't really have anyone to talk to or give me advice in regards to these types of legal issues. Update 4, 3 months later. I just want to make this post because I think it's good to make a point about how the world actually works, and I don't like leaving things under the false impression that everything ended up being okay. The last 5 months of 2018 were the worst months of my life because of everything that happened with my brother and me being disowned by my family's friends, and many other people who I thought I knew and respected. I ended up getting my documents back without too much trouble, but after that, everything has been a loss. My brother was not really punished in any substantive way. My parents have endeavored to protect him, and he basically got something on the level of probation, no jail time. He was fired but has been hired again with a much better job with a small private company because, I'm told, of a connection with a colleague. He, or my parents, but I think him for various reasons, had various people call me up from unlisted numbers with vaguely threatening messages calling me awful names or just breathing on the phone until I had to get a new number. Rumors have been spread about me to the point where I don't feel comfortable even talking to nice people I knew because I'm afraid they'll judge me based off things they've seen that aren't true. I still am not going to be able to go back to college this semester because of personal and financial reasons, and I basically have lost all my friends due to either personal insecurity, severe depression, or the rumors. I don't leave my house outside of work, and I'm not taking care of myself in the way I should. Very grossly thin and pale, working on getting better though, and I've been having very terrible dreams about going to heck and burning alive forever, which are driving me crazy. I'm not going to do anything dramatic, but mentally I'm not where I need to be. I'm not trying to make this a pity party, and I acknowledge that I'm a big part of the reason this happened, in the sense that I'm not handling it in the most productive way, and I'm not asking for help. I have a crappy job that allows me to stay alive fine, just having trouble getting to school, which I think I'll be able to start again this summer, but I want to emphasize how messed up the whole system is. This is the second time in my life I've been put in this position, and my first time as an adult and someone trying to report it, and either way I have been screwed, lied to, and watched the person who ruined my life get away and live happier ever after. Nobody cares about people who get violated, and I understand why they don't come out and report. It's all rigged. My brother, his girlfriend, and my parents are on an almost 2-week-long Hawaiian cruise right now, smiling and laughing, and I'm in my apartment still unable to sleep right because of all this. Happy New Year, enjoy your cruise. What a cool picture of a water slide. Again, thanks to this community at the least. It was a big help in the early stages when I needed to get my thoughts together, and I really appreciated it. I hope everyone who is cool about it gets the type of life they deserve. Really, thank you. Update 5, 4 months later. I moved to another state now. For the purposes of the final update, it doesn't matter. Things have settled for me as of 4 weeks ago, and I remembered a lot of people sending me messages and PMs, so I thought I would give a final update. Life isn't good in the sense that everything is perfect. I 100% absolutely do not believe in karma or that good things happen to people who do good and vice versa with evil people, but things ended up working that way in this scenario after all the crap. Long story short is 3 months ago, my brother was diagnosed with a terminal illness, and he passed about 2 months later this April. We don't have a family history with this, and I found out about it more than a month after his diagnosis. Did not see him after his passing, and whatever campaign he had to bug me with his buddies just stopped all of a sudden when he found out about it, so I guess he lost interest once he found out he didn't have much time. I don't know many details because I'm not involved, and I obviously didn't try to be, but he's gone. I'm glad. Felt bad about it for a day or two and then just thought, no, really done with it. The universe threw me one frigging freebie, and I'm going to appreciate it. I honestly feel freer and happy, and I hope he passed in as much pain as could be expected. My life is good right now. The past 9 months have been some of the worst times of my life, but things have settled into almost niceness. University is postponed at the moment and maybe forever, but I found a good job I like in a much cheaper state that I like more and don't have to work it a lot. I have plenty of free time now, and I'm having fun with it instead of sitting in misery. Started drawing again and reading incredibly depressing online superhero novels. Also pushing myself to make new friends and going to look into therapy soon, feeling alive again. Taking care of my health again and am not undereating anymore. My parents have reached out twice, and I ignored them. Planning to do again and forever. I hope they rot, and I don't feel bad about it anymore. Sick of feeling guilty, sick of feeling sick? They're the messed up people, not me. All I want to do now is hear about whenever they go and join my brother. I don't want to say my brother suddenly got a terminal illness and passed and that fixed everything and I'm happy now because that isn't true, but he passed and I'm glad about it, and yes, it did make me feel happy, and I'm finding it much easier to be happy now. I wish I could say I didn't need luck to fix my problems, but whatever. Thanks for everyone who sent me messages and offered me types of help even if I didn't take it. I had 4 one-time conversations with 4 people, and that meant a lot to me. Hope only nice things happen to you guys. Thanks again. My ex showed up to pick up our kids with his future stepson and demanded to come inside my house to use the bathroom. Then when I went to pick up the kids from his wedding, his parents hid them from me and I had to call the police. Posted by u/bonus West 5031. Our custody arrangement is for each of us to pick the kids up on our day during our 2-hour pickup window. He arrived at the house, and I already had the boys ready. I saw his car pull into the driveway on my camera, so the boys were already halfway to the door when my ex knocks. I open the door, and he is holding the hand of a 4-year-old. He asks to come in and says his fiance's son needs to use the bathroom. I told him I don't want him to come inside because I don't feel comfortable with him in my house. He has a history of snooping through my things. He asked me to take his future stepson to the bathroom, and I said I was uncomfortable with the situation. He said his stepson needed to pee. I suggested the McDonald's up the road. He said my bathroom would be way cleaner than a McDonald's. At this point, my 11-year-old started pestering his dad to stop so they could leave. My ex said your brother needs to use the bathroom. My son said I'll take him. My ex said no, your mother would rather he pee his pants. We'll go, and hopefully we'll get to the McDonald's in time. My ex and the boys left. He messaged me afterwards saying I was cruel to a child to punish him and that's not okay. He said I made us both look bad in front of our kids and should be embarrassed of my actions. I have been fighting with him for so long my perspective is screwed up. Was I in the wrong? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Can Op do the exchanges at McDonald's? Op's response, that doesn't work because he will be late, and then if I go home, he'll want me to come back and then say I'm denying him his custody time. Judge said he can have a 2-hour window for pickup, but it's not fair to me to have to sit in a parking lot for 2 hours, so this is what was agreed upon with the judge for both of us. It's not perfect, but everything else we tried was worse. Commenter 1. Why 2-hour window? Op's response, my ex said he needs the window because he helps take care of his fiancé's 2 small children who sometimes cause unavoidable delays. Commenter 2. Does Op's attorney know about this issue about her ex trying to gain access to her house and the child exchange window time? Op's response, he knows about the windows, but I didn't tell him about what happened yet because I'm still processing it. He's already dealing with a complaint my ex made about me taking the boys to see Superman after he told me he wanted to take them. I'm so anxious about telling him there's a new issue. Commenter 3. Did Op take her sons to see Superman after her ex told her that he wanted to take them? Op's response, yes. The boys wanted to watch Superman the day it came out, which was during my custody time. I told them I would take them. He texted me afterwards saying he doesn't want me to take them because he wants to do it. I told the boys their dad wants to take them, and they could decide between going with me or going with him. They wanted to go the day it came out. There's no rule saying he can tell me not to take them to movies he wants to take them to, so I took them. Commenter 4. Why did the ex bring his future stepkid with him? Op's response, I really don't understand why he brought him. I think the sister was in the car too. I'm not sure, but I think I saw her in the car on my camera afterwards. I hope not though because that means he left her alone in the car while he was on my stoop, which makes me so anxious. Commenter 5. Okay, so I like to ask my husband these scenarios and get his 2 cents. He seems to think, because you have stated you've had multiple problems with the ex, that this was more about control. He wanted you to do what he said. Was the boy hurting and crying because he had to go? If not, my spouse thinks it was a power play by your ex. If it were me, I would have asked my son to take him and told the ex to go wait in his car, but if this jerk just likes to jerk you around, then NTA. Op's response, he was holding my ex's hand and kind of looking around. He didn't say anything. Op on her kids' ages and how they make their own decisions between her and their father. Op's response, my oldest is 11, and my younger son is 6. No one was forced to do anything. They were given a choice. Do you want to stick with the original plan, or with the new information available to you that your dad specifically wants to take you, would you rather wait and go with him? Life is all about making choices, and my job as a mother is to provide my children with a safe environment to make those choices, so they develop good decision-making skills that will serve them well in adulthood. Update 1, 1 week later. I did talk to my lawyer about what happened. He said we can address it at the hearing we already have scheduled about the movie situation. I thought that was that, but of course it was my turn to pick up the kids today. When I arrived at my ex's place, he opened the door very wide and invited me in. I was suspicious and said no thank you. He kept insisting I come in so we can show the kids we are civil, but I had a bad feeling. I said I would just wait in the car for the boys to come out. I got in my car and texted my older son that I was there. A short while later, he texted me back saying his dad said they couldn't leave unless I got them. I went back to the door and knocked again. Again, my ex invited me inside. I said I didn't want to come in, and that was when my boys showed up. My ex's fiancé was right behind them telling them to come back upstairs. They ran to me, and we left. I don't know what his game is, but I'm not falling for it, whatever it is. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, make a note and send it to lawyer, basically kidnapping your kids. All meetings are now at a public location, so don't pick McDonald's or a place where the kids will want and expect junk food. No more pickups at house and don't even get out of your car. Op's response, it's not up to me. The judge decided on the current system. Commenter 2, have your boys said anything they might have heard or seen? Weird she'd be trying to pull them back. You are definitely NTA, gotta protect them children. Get drop-offs in public areas instead of homes. Good luck. Op's response, my son said he wanted to go downstairs when I was at the door, but my ex's fiancé said he needed to wait. Then when I texted him, he went downstairs, but my ex sent him back up. When he heard me at the door the second time, he ran downstairs with my younger son. He doesn't know why they wanted me to come in, but it's pretty clear they did. Op explains why she left her ex. Op's response, you want to know something funny? Spending time with him was the best part. It was everything else that sucked. I had no privacy. He went through my phone and computer almost every night. If I asked to use my phone while he was going through it, I was hiding something. He would dig through the drawers looking for hidden stuff and mess everything up, and if I complained, he would do it again because there must have been something there if I was complaining. I had to account for every penny I spent, every moment I wasn't being productive. When we were doing things together, he was so charming, funny, and sweet. He's so handsome and smart and fit, but it got to the point where I was scared whenever he wasn't around because I couldn't trust myself to make decisions without his approval. I was becoming a shell of myself. Commenter 3, NTA. Your previous posts state the kids are 11 and 6. They are old enough for curbside exchanges. Have your lawyer request that the parent doing the pickup will text the other parent when they are on their way with an ETA and must remain in their car when they arrive. They will text the other parent when they arrive. The children must be sent out within 5 minutes. This allows time for the kids to get ready with their items and have used the bathroom if needed. If this is granted, get a ring camera and a dashboard camera as proof when he violates the orders. Ops response: this sounds like a great idea. I wonder if my lawyer could convince the judge. Commenter 4, was the ex violent toward Oop? Ops response: he's not physically violent. He once told me, after we'd seen someone in public slap their child, in a tone of absolute disgust, anyone who uses violence on their family not only can't control their family, but they can't control themselves. That's pathetic. He never hit me, even when the divorce was at its worst levels of contention. He told me I was worthless, that no man would ever want me, that I was nothing without him, but he never touched me. Update 2, 6 days later. Just concluded our hearing, and it went okay, all things considered. Judge said that neither of us need the permission of the other to take the children to age-appropriate experiences like movies. He told my ex not to tell me I can't take the kids to do certain things because he wants to do them. If he wants to do them, he can, but so can I. So that was a win. Judge was annoyed that there was another drop-off issue. He was especially annoyed because the reason he gave my ex a 2-hour window for drop-offs was because he said he needed the flexibility since he is a caretaker of his fiancé's children. If he's taking them with him to drop-offs, why does he need 2 hours? Judge told him do not take his fiancé's children to my house, and do not ask to come inside my house. He told me not to ask to go inside his house either. He also told me not to rush my ex and to be patient and allow the children time to come to the door. I wasn't rushing him, but I didn't say that to the judge. I just agreed. My ex also dropped the bombshell that the week of the wedding, he needs me to pick the kids up from the resort the wedding is at instead of his house because they are going on their honeymoon straight from the resort and not returning home. I am very uncomfortable with this, and my lawyer said that is too much of a burden to put on me. The judge disagreed with my lawyer and said we all have to be flexible sometimes. So I am stuck doing that. I feel like he intentionally started fights about the previous 2 issues he knew he would lose on so the judge would side with him on the final issue to make things fair. Maybe I'm just paranoid. So 2 wins and a loss. Hopefully they'll be too happy about being married to pull any stunts. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, could Ops stay at the hotel on the day of the wedding once her sons are done at their father's wedding? Ops response, it is not a long drive. The resort is right outside the city. I cannot stay at the hotel as that is not within my budget, and I have no interest in using their pool and then being shamed for doing so by my ex-husband's friends and family. I cannot think of a less appealing prospect. Commenter 2, is Op allowed to record the pickup after the wedding? Op's response, my lawyer said it's fine to have a ring camera or a dash cam, but not to record things on my phone unless my ex is doing something really bad because our judge really hates people who record everything, and it will prejudice him against me. Commenter 3, cannot bring a witness with her for the pickup? Op's response, if I bring someone with me, won't that introduce another chaotic variable? I can control my own actions. I can't control theirs. My friends all hate my ex. If I bring one, that in and of itself could be interpreted as a hostile act. My sister is completely unpredictable. Commenter 3, I know it sucks that you have to drive to get them, but this is great news about the rest. He has additional rules that stick forever, while you are only inconvenienced once. If you could only win on 2, I'm glad it was the 2 you got. Op's response, you are correct. I feel good about that, even though I am incredibly stressed out. I am worried he is going to try to trick me into doing or saying something that can be perceived as hostile and tell the judge I sabotaged his wedding. Commenter 4, if the pickup window is 8 to 10 a.m., what time is the ceremony? You said your son is a part of the wedding and the earliest I can see the ceremony being is 9 a.m. Who picked the pickup window? If your son has a phone, ask him to text you after the ceremony has finished and park 5 minutes away from the resort to wait until then, even if that's just the side of the road. Also, tell your lawyer your plan. It sounds like your ex is playing stupid games, and I'm sure he will be receiving his stupid prizes soon. Ops response: to the best of my understanding, the wedding will end very late the night before, and their flight is sometime in the afternoon of the pickup day. I don't really understand the logistics of the thing. I am less stressed now though because at today's pickup, my ex just stayed in the car and texted our oldest that he was here. Progress. Update 3, 2.5 months later. Well, I thought I would update everyone on what happened when I picked my kids up from my ex-husband's wedding. First of all, I got there at 8:20 a.m. As soon as I arrived, I texted my ex and my older son that I was there. Then I walked into the lobby. I checked my phone and had no response from either. I waited until 8:40 a.m. and then walked to the front desk. I said I was there to pick up my children and asked if maybe my ex had left a message at the desk for me. They knew nothing. I called my older son, and he didn't answer. I called my ex, and he didn't answer. At this point, my anxiety was bad, and I felt sick. At 9 a.m., I called my lawyer, and his receptionist said he would call me back. I kept calling my older son, and he didn't answer. This was unusual for him. I was scared something had happened. I asked the front desk which room they were in, and they couldn't tell me, which I understood. At 9:20 a.m., I called the police. It took them a while to get there. When they arrived, it was past 10 a.m., the pickup window. I was panicking. All I could think was that my ex was going to tell the judge I was late. When the police arrived, they asked the front desk for my ex's room number. They told the police he had checked out. I didn't know what to think. They asked the front desk if they had kids with them when they left, and they said no. They said my kids were actually booked in a suite with her kids and his parents, and they had paid for late checkout. The officers told me to wait downstairs and went to the room. They came back with my kids and their stuff, and we left. My oldest said his grandfather took his phone away, and they stayed up late and had no alarm set. Both boys said their grandparents were furious when the cops showed up. My lawyer eventually called me back, and we scheduled another custody hearing for after the honeymoon. At the hearing, my ex tried to put everything on me. He said he told me the kids would be with his parents, he didn't, and that I staged the whole thing to make him look bad. He also said me calling the police traumatized the kids. I showed the judge all of our communication. The judge even interviewed my kids, who said even they didn't know they would be with their grandparents until the prior evening, by which point my oldest phone had already been confiscated. The judge gave me primary custody with visitation and said all pickups and drop-offs will now be at neutral locations with a 30-minute window. He was done. He was upset. My ex has filed to have our case transferred to another judge because this one is clearly biased against him. In the meantime though, the boys and I are happy and doing well. They're both getting great grades so far this year. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, you're such a saint. I would have lost all patience with your ex before this point. Just reading this is exhausting, so I can only imagine how you feel. I'm glad things seem to be working out for you and the kiddos. Hopefully your ex can't switch judges. Ops response, I hope so too, but honestly I think he'll get his way. He is very convincing, but I won't cross that bridge until I get to it. Commenter 2, your ex is gonna learn a lesson about family court judges. When you file to have a case transferred and the previous judge was competent and followed the law and did what was best for the kids, the next judge tends to get upset that someone is attempting to skirt a legal ruling simply because they don't like it. Ops response, I hope that's the case in this instance. Commenter 3, just well. You must have been extremely worried as time went by. It sounds like the grandparents are as inconsiderate as your ex, and what a miserable way for ex to behave on his wedding day, not treating the children or you well at all. I don't think you will have a lot of luck getting any judge to see his actions as responsible. The clincher is that no message was left for you at reception. Ops response, I don't think they are simply inconsiderate. I think all their actions are deliberate. They wanted to take the kids home with them. Commenter 4, I had not even thought of that. Why would they have even thought that was okay? I do think they showed themselves up by getting angry when the police arrived. If I had been one of them and understood you had been trying to find the kids, I would have been embarrassed to have been part of upsetting you and really mad at my son for putting you in that position. The fact they got angry says a lot about them and why their son behaves as he does. Ops response, my kids said they were arguing with the cops and trying to tell them I was mentally unwell and had staged the whole situation. Apparently the cops wouldn't talk to them other than to say they had to stay upstairs while they took the boys and their things to me. Commenter 5, I doubt X will be successful with another judge. Your lawyer needs to get him to pay your legal fees for his nonsense. Ops response, he pays all my legal expenses. That was part of the divorce settlement since he makes so much more money than me. I'd never be able to afford a good lawyer on my own. It's the only way to keep things fair. Commenter 6, what absolute nonsense behavior. How did the grandfather justify taking your son's phone, his only means of communication with you? Let's hope the future judge will read the file and see straight through your ex's behavior as well. So glad you got your custody. Good luck. Ops response: My son said his grandfather told him he was being disruptive at the reception and had to give up his phone for the rest of the night as punishment. I am fairly certain my son was not being disruptive. I left my son with my mom for a year while I was hospitalized. Then when I came to pick him up, he called her mommy because she told him she was his mother, so I cut her off and she broke into my house to try to take him. Posted by u/throwaway78900072. Throwaway to avoid anyone recognizing me. I have a now 3-year-old son who was living with my mom, his grandma, for a year while I was away getting myself together. For personal reasons, I will not explain why I was away for so long, but I felt I needed to better myself for my son. My mother agreed to take care of him while I was away. I FaceTimed with him whenever I could. Fast forward to last month, I come to my mother's house to pick up my son. He's happy to see me, and me and my mother are talking while he's playing with his dinosaurs. He suddenly looks up at my mother and says, "Mommy, I'm thirsty." I was obviously confused and asked my mother if she heard him call her mom. She laughed nervously and said that he had been calling her that for a while. She basically explained that while I was away, she told him that she was his mom and to call her that. I laughed and told her that I wasn't comfortable with that since she wasn't the one who birthed him. I told her he should know that she's his grandmother, not his mom. She got upset and told me that he needed a mother figure while I was gone, and she was just trying to fill that role for him. She said something along the lines of, "I've been his mother for a year now, and you can't change it." We went back and forth until it got to the point where we started raising our voices. She spat out some insults about me being a bad mom for being away for so long and how she should be his mom because he doesn't need a mom like me. I simply told her that she isn't going to be seeing him anymore because I'm not comfortable with him calling her mom. We gathered his stuff and left after that. She blew up my phone for days, talked some mess to family members, anything she could to make me look and feel bad, but I refused to forgive her, especially after all that stuff she said. Am I the jerk? Edit, same day. For those of you saying I abandoned him, I didn't. I was too sick to take care of him. That's all I'm going to say about that. I couldn't be the best mother to him because of my medical issues. I wanted to be there for him. I didn't just dump him on my mother. I feel the need to explain that because people are getting the wrong idea. It was possible for him to visit, but my mom said it would be best if he didn't see me like that because he'd be too young to understand, and I trusted her, so I didn't allow him to visit. No, I wasn't in a mental hospital or rehab. It was physical health reasons. A lot of you are saying you think I was in rehab because of the way I've worded things in my post. Rather than edit out the original, I'd just like to explain that it's probably not the best wording to use for this situation, and I understand that now. What I meant to say was I felt I needed to be in better health for my son. Getting myself together in my head pretty much means getting better and healthier. I apologize for that. Edit, next day. This will probably be my last edit. My son is getting a therapist like a lot of you have recommended. I'm considering working things out with my mother only because I don't want her fighting for custody. Still unsure though. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, ESH. Were you in regular contact or just when you had the time? Did you have a set time when you'd be back, or did she have reason to think you were gone for good? My opinion for right now is ESH. Ops response: I FaceTimed him when I could. I was gone for serious medical issues, so it was hard for me to talk to him sometimes. There was no set time I'd be back, it all depended on when I got better. Up to another commenter: can't exactly raise my son if I can't even move from a hospital bed. Up to a third commenter: I had no choice but to leave him with her. I was physically unable to care for him due to my medical problems. I didn't leave him because I felt like it. I've already considered talking it over with my mother. Up to one more commenter: it was possible for him to see me, but my mom said it would be best if he didn't see me like that because he'd be too young to understand, and I trusted her, so I didn't allow him to visit. Ops health. Ops response: physical, although I can't say my mental health while hospitalized was perfect either. Up to another commenter: I knew if I said hospitalized, people would start asking why, so I said for personal reasons until people started assuming I abandoned him. Probably should have worded that part better. Up to a third commenter: I've never done substances. Commenter 2, info: did he start calling her mom on his own or did she tell him to call her mom? Ops response: she told me she told him to call her mommy and that she was his mother. Up to another commenter: she told me she told him that she was his mom. That's how she tricked him. Commenter 3, how is your health now? Do you have backup guardian plans in a will should anything happen to you? What do you want to happen next? Ops response: it is not completely resolved, but I am healthy enough to resume caring for my son. I'm still receiving treatment, but it will only require multiple doctor visits a month. It's unlikely I will have to be hospitalized again, but just in case I do, he will be going with my sister. What I want to happen next hopefully is to talk this out with my mother so she doesn't actually try anything, but I'm not sure if that's a good idea right now. Commenter 4, timeline? Ops response, I raised him until he was 2, then I was hospitalized and he went to my mother for a year. He was only with her for 1 year, but your point still stands. Update, 2 months later. I just wanted to start out by saying thank you everyone for the feedback that you gave me and the judgments. Whether they were negative or positive, I took each and every one of them into deep consideration. I accepted the judgment and indeed realized that I was also being a jerk. My son has since seen a therapist like a lot of you suggested he should. He's done pretty well, although the therapist suggested he continue therapy for a little longer considering he's still confused about the situation. He knows I'm his mother but essentially thinks he has 2 moms. I've done my very best to go slow with him and teach him who is his mom and who is his grandmother. Regarding his grandmother, I did what a lot of you suggested and let her FaceTime him every day for a couple hours to not upset him. I did this until an incident involving her came up. I'm taking this to court. As much as I hate to further upset my son, I have come to the conclusion that she no longer needs to be in contact with us, at least not for a while. I'm sorry for all of you that this disappoints. I just want to do what's best for my son. As for my health, I'm slowly getting better in case any of you are wondering. I have to visit my doctor several times a month, but that's an improvement, honestly. Thank you all. I wish this situation could have ended differently, but I was able to try to resolve it thanks to all of you. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, info, sorry if this is sensitive, but I was curious of what incident happened that is making you go to court. Also, I think you're doing a wonderful job as a mother and wish you and your son the best in life. You don't have to answer my question, I guess I'm too curious for my own good. Ops response, long story short, she tried to take him from me. Up to another commenter, she tried to take him from me in the middle of the night. Commenter 2, did she try to break in? Lure him outside? Sorry, super curious. Ops response, she broke in. I forgot that I had given her a key to my house before I left for treatment. Up to another commenter, I woke up to the sound of the door opening, it squeaks, went in the living room, saw it was cracked. Went to check on my son, and she was in there getting him dressed to leave. The window in his room was also open, so I think she was gonna go out through there. Commenter 3, jail and pressing charges? Ops response, I didn't want to press charges. The police said I should take it to court for a restraining order. They basically escorted her home, but she was not arrested. I don't think jail is a very good place for my mother as she is almost 50. Up to another commenter, not saying what she did is okay. I still care about her, she's my mother. I always will in some way. I'd rather move far away from her than let her rot in a jail cell. After I get my restraining order, I'll most likely be moving anyways. I don't expect anyone to understand, but I'm not a vengeful person. In my eyes, she needs help and therapy, not jail. Up to another commenter, the police already have the incident documented, I believe. Commenter 4, where is son's father? Ops response, I don't know. He left the hospital when my son was born, and I haven't seen or heard from him since.
My girlfriend texts while driving, pushes people out of the way to steal seats on trains, and ruined my white clothes by throwing her purple shirt in mid-cycle. Then at the dollar store she made everyone wait while she got an icy after the register. Posted by you/Throwrarisher. Hi everyone. This is my first time asking for relationship advice online. I've tried to bring the topic up with my friends and family, but I'm never really able to broach the subject out of fear of embarrassing her or ruining their opinion of her. The situation isn't very complicated. I, 24M, have been in a 6-month-long relationship with a woman, 26F, but in public she does things that the average 10-year-old knows not to. In the past month, she has, on multiple occasions, crowded in front of the door of an elevator and rushed in without letting people off. On multiple occasions, taken out her phone while driving to respond to a text, slowing down to 15 miles per hour under the speed limit while doing so. Walked into a restaurant and instead of waiting to be seated, just navigated her way to where she wanted to sit. Squeezed in, as in pushing her body up into them as she did so, behind a person who was standing up to get off a crowded train so she could sit down before anyone else could grab the seat. Completely ruined a load of my white clothes by stopping the washing machine and throwing a brand new purple shirt of hers in with them. When confronted, she said I was in a hurry to wash it. When I try to bring her behavior up, she says that I don't respect her or that I'm being judgmental. She gets incredibly upset and defensive, often telling me reasons why she did the above things, the text was important, her feet hurt on the train, and so on. I'm really desperate for a decent way to convey why her behavior is so absurd to her because I like her in general but don't want to be in a relationship with someone so inconsiderate towards total strangers. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, there's rude and entitled behavior, like pushing into an elevator before letting people out. There's rude behavior that causes damage to others, like the white clothing incident. Then there is dangerous, and possibly criminal depending on where you live, behavior that potentially causes bodily harm or death, driving and texting. The first two groups, I wouldn't want to be with that person, but everyone has different levels of tolerance. The last item, no way would I be with that person. No way. I have zero tolerance to people who endanger others. Commenter 2, the last item, no way would I be with that person. No way. I have zero tolerance to people who endanger others. This. People who drive and text are unbelievably entitled and self-centered for considering that their text is more important than other people's lives. Commenter 3, she's 26, that frontal lobe is fully developed. If she doesn't see a problem with her behavior, I doubt she's going to change. I suggest just sitting her down and telling her how you feel about her actions in public, be completely honest, and if she continues, I would say it is time to reassess the relationship. The washer incident tells me that she won't hold herself accountable, but how does she treat or act in front of the people she knows? Update, 6 days later. Hey everyone. First, I want to apologize for not being active in my last post. A lot of people gave me a lot of helpful comments. While I read through every comment, I didn't respond to thank anyone for their input. 3 days after I wrote about her self-centered behavior and cosmic victim complex, she made my decision easy for me. We were at the dollar store and in line at the checkout. My girlfriend got to the register, where the cashier started scanning all 50 or so of the items that we wanted. Our total came up, and my girlfriend tried to pay by credit card. The cashier apologetically explained that they weren't taking credit card at the time because their system was acting up all morning. She pointed at the handwritten cash-only sign that my girlfriend and I had missed. Neither of us had cash on us. First, my girlfriend tried to debate with the cashier, but I had to patiently explain to her that there was nothing the poor woman could do. As my girlfriend argued her point, whatever the frick it was, the line behind us grew with a lot of very rightfully irritated people. There I was trying to placate my girlfriend as she tried to troubleshoot their equipment as people were audibly groaning behind us. Finally, she agreed to take the 5 minutes to go across the street and withdraw money from the ATM, which shouldn't have been such a big deal in the first place. My girlfriend told the cashier to keep everything scanned and ready for her to pay when she came back. I was going to interject, but the cashier said, "Ma'am, there are people waiting. I can't do that." With a glance at the line, my girlfriend retorted with, "Oh, they can wait a bit longer." Without a word, she left to get some money. The terrified cashier awkwardly looked at me seeking permission to cancel the items. I just told her it was fine and to please help the next customer. As person after person paid for their goods, I apologized to each individually. They seemed understanding. My girlfriend got back 10 minutes later because she wanted to get an icy from the corner shop after withdrawing money. When she noticed the items had to be scanned all over again, she entirely flipped her lid. She started ranting about calling corporate, which I'm not even sure exists for that small dollar store chain, and then talked about posting about it on Twitter. Finally, I blew up, yelled at her for being a very selfish person, with expletives, and just walked away. I'm done. The relationship is done. She is texting me, but I'm not even reading them. Holy mother of gosh, I really hope the next guy who dates her has the patience of a saint, or maybe I hope she dates a total self-righteous jerk who can straighten her out. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, wow, that was yikes. She wanted to get an icy. I don't know why, but to me that part of the story really underlines her craziness. Congratulations, you finally got out of the way of the bullet and dodged it. Ops response, it's crazy how normalized her behavior has become to me. That barely even registered as a blip. It was like, oh, she decided that instead of making everyone wait 5 minutes, she'd make them wait 10. Yeah, that sounds like her. I also knew if I brought up the icy exactly what her response would be. I was thirsty. Commenter 2, where does her entitlement come from? Ops response, I'm going to bet she was raised by parents who treated her like a princess. Op to another commenter. Ops response, yeah, that's kind of what I got. If at 26 she is that big of an entitled person, I can't even imagine how she'll be at 45. No offense to anyone who is 45, of course. It's just that these kinds of behaviors only tend to get worse as we age.
My stepdaughters called me mom for years until their bio mom showed up and they told me I'm not their real mom and I'm a bad stepmom. So when she left and they tried calling me mom again, I told them I don't view them as my kids anymore. Posted by you/hotdragonfly8813. To start this off, this is a throwaway as I don't want this connected to my main account. I'm 36F, and my husband is 42M and has 2 daughters who are 16 and 13. My husband and I have been together for 8 years. For some context, the girls have a mom who's just not active in their life. She comes around once a year or every other year and stays for 2 to 3 months and then leaves. The problem is when she comes in town, the girls change. For example, after me and their dad got married, they started calling me mom as they felt I was their mom, but when their mom came back, they would stop and call her mom and push me to the side. I understood why they did that then as they were young and confused and were trying to please her. We put them in therapy, and their therapist had them apologize, and they tried to explain it. The next 2 times it happened, she told me to try and have a talk with them. Their mom decided not to come for the next 2 years, and it was a really peaceful 2 years. The kids were good, enjoying school, their new brother, and were just happy. This year, their mom decided to come. She came in August and stayed until about a week ago. This time when she came, the girls changed completely. It started with not calling me mom, to saying disrespectful things to me and their dad, to them telling their brother they didn't like him and that he wasn't their real brother, and some other stuff, but the main thing they said that really hurt was I wasn't their mom and that I would never be and that I'm a bad stepmom and their mom is their only mom. So last week when their mom left, they slowly tried to crawl back and tried to start calling me mom again, and I told them I didn't want them to call me that anymore. They looked shocked when I said that and asked why. I told them that they told me multiple times that I'm not their mom and that I'm a bad stepmom and that their mom is only their mom, so I said I no longer view you as my kids. They looked hurt and went to tell their dad what was said, and he said it's between us. Their therapist thinks I was harsh, but I don't, as they are old enough to realize what's wrong to say and what's right. So am I the jerk? Note, I also want to put I don't blame the younger one as much as I blame the older one, as she should know better, and I understand things with parents are hard, but I was younger than her when I cut my father off, and he was similar to how their mom is. The rose-colored glasses should be faded or fading by now as she's old enough to understand. Relevant comments. Downvoted commenter, info, when their mother is around and they treat you like this, where is their father in that and what are you both saying while they're doing that behavior? It reads as if this is the first time you've ever laid out the inevitable consequence of being treated like this and you're enforcing it straight up, which is a jerk move. But the response of your husband that this is between you is a complete abdication of his responsibility here. Like ESH, but I'm leaning towards the hierarchy of jerks as 1, your husband, 2, you, 3, the 16-year-old, and the 13-year-old is just following what her mother and sister want. But congratulations, you've proved the ex right. I guess she alienates them from you by telling them that you're not there for them unconditionally, and well, that's true. Op's response, when they're doing that behavior, he will punish them, take their stuff away. This is not the first time I've made consequences for them doing this stuff. Just last time it was less extreme as what they said then was less extreme. Commenter 1, it sounds like their mom is in their ear telling them stuff, probably lies, about you and their dad. That's what it seems like is happening every time their mom shows up. They probably miss her and want her validation, so they listen to her. Commenter 2, the biggest thing that stood out to me is that your husband had nothing to say except it's between the three of you. What the girl said to you and what you said to them was all very hurtful, and your husband shouldn't be turning a blind eye to this. These words are relationship altering, and he should be intervening to try and keep his family together and work it out. I understand where you're coming from and why you said what you did. I can't say for sure if I would have had the guts to say the words, but it sounds like they maybe needed to be said. Commenter 3, your girls need to understand everyone, even parents, have feelings that can be hurt. My take is you need to navigate this because you're stuck with these mean girls and you are their parent. I wouldn't want them calling me mom either because you don't treat your mom that way, but we all know they are being influenced by biomom and you need to be the bigger person in this situation. Be the positive influence on them but set those boundaries as to how you will accept being treated. Also, kick your husband in the rear. Commenter 4, they told you repeatedly that you're not their mom. You're just finally believing them. They are absolutely old enough to understand that relationships aren't a switch you can flip on and off whenever their biomom decides to show up. Your husband is a bit of a jerk here for not backing you up. NTA. Commenter 5, soft Uda, or rather, you're the grown-up. Yes, 13 and 16 is old enough to know better, but teenagers aren't famously good at emotional empathy and they have a lot to cope with. In a way, they are like a toddler saying I hate you. You know that the only response is well, I love you and always will. Their biomom sounds toxic, unreliable, and like she is demanding their loyalty. They are terrified that she will go away again, maybe for good, if they displease her or do anything wrong. They aren't ready to decide, as an adult might, not to have this person in their lives. They're just blindly terrified of being abandoned again. You are the stable, loving maternal presence in their lives. Prove that, unlike their biomom, you aren't going to abandon them even at their most unlovable. That doesn't mean put up with insults or bad behavior, but it does mean not punishing them by withdrawing your support. You can calmly explain that they are free not to call you mom, but you will always love them and consider yourself their stepmom. In the years to come, they will feel terrible about this, but don't punish them. Update, 1 week later. I'm back with an update, and before I give the update, I want to start by answering a few of the main questions I saw. I saw a lot of questions that ask why do we allow their mother in their lives. I'm not over that. My husband feels like it's not on him to keep the girls from seeing her. He will ask if they want to, and they say yes. Another question I saw a lot of was why doesn't their dad say anything? He does. He's taken away their things and has tried to have talks with them. They just listen and block him out. The reason why he stayed out is because whenever they don't like something I tell them, they run to him. He has said he'd side with me on this but feels I was too hard on them. The update. A few days after I posted this, my husband and I sat down with the girls, and I told them that I was sorry for what I said and that I worded it wrong. I told them I still view them as my kids. They just aren't allowed to call me mom anymore and have to call me by my name now. I also told them that our relationship is broken, and I didn't break it. I did help a little, but they broke it, and if they wanted it back to how it used to be, they would have to rebuild it. I also told them they had to play with their brother for 3 hours and apologize to him, he's 4. They had a few more punishments, but we did talk to them and try to figure out what she says that influences them so much. We got the answer of I don't know. We told them that they can't be easily manipulated, and especially the 16-year-old with her going to college soon and trying to drive, so we talked about things that could happen with that. We also told them they can't just say what they want to people and expect things to stay the same, especially if it's stuff that hurts people. They apologized for the things they said and how they acted and said they wanted things to go back to normal. I told them that I would forgive them when they did the stuff with their brother first and that if they want things back to normal, then they would have to work for it. From what they said, they don't want to see their mom for a long time. So they will go to their therapist soon and talk to her about this. Edit, I've worded myself very wrong. They have to play with their little brother as an apology to him. He's 4. If they apologize, he's going to say it's okay and then continue to ignore them. So it's not a punishment, more of his apology. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. My husband feels like it's not on him to keep the girls from seeing her. He will ask if they want to and they say yes. Your husband has failed his daughters in protecting them from someone who he knows damages them by continuously building up their hopes and dreams and crashes them time and time again by abandoning them. If he absolutely could not bring himself to not allow their mom in their lives whenever she pleased, he should have been far more vigilant and never allow them to be unsupervised with her. He didn't, and now you're all here. What a mess. I'd maybe cut out the punishment of having to play with their brother. Definitely keep the punishments for speaking down to him, make it clear we do not talk to others like that in this household, but don't make him the object of their resentment. He deserves better than to be utilized as a tool for punishment, even if the objective is to create a better relationship. Encourage it, don't harm it by making it a chore. Ops response, I gave the punishment of playing with their brother because an apology won't mean much to him as he's 4. He will probably forgive them and just keep avoiding them like he's doing, so I feel like playing with him would help rebuild their relationship, and would be a better apology to him. Also, they don't have to play with him for the 3 hours. I would take 30 minutes as long as they try to fix what was broken. Commenter 2, I understand what you are saying. It's not so much as a punishment as an apology. Like when a child hurts someone's feelings and the parent says that was rude, you tell them sorry right now. Only your son is 4, and although I'm sure he knows what sorry means, playing with him will make him feel like everything is okay again with his sisters, and that's all you really want for him is to know and feel loved by his family. Ops response, yes, and also he just accepts anyone's apology no matter what, so playing or doing something he wants will feel more like an apology to him than saying sorry. Commenter 3, Ops' husband needs to consider supervised visits with the biological mother for his daughters. Ops response, he is considering it as he doesn't want this to happen again. Commenter 4, taking away the title of mom is a wildly insane punishment. It's so horrible for a child. They'll never forget that. It's not making amends. Op has failed these children. She's trying to get away with it. As a mother myself with a horrible mom I've tried to undo damage from for 20 years, it makes me sick to know what these young girls must be feeling. Telling someone not to call you mom when you're the functional mother figure is disturbing. Op's response, I took it away as I don't need it. I don't need them to be confused on who to call mom when they want to please their bio mom by calling her mom and then trying to use the word mom as a weapon towards me. Again, I know I'm their mom. I don't need a word to tell me that, but I'm not going to let them use the word as a weapon towards me. Commenter 5, they are children, honey. You are weaponizing your power over them because you're insecure. They are abused and confused kids. You need to apologize immediately for this incredible horror you've wrought. You don't get to do that if you want these girls in your life. That's not something you take away as any punishment. It's inviolable. Their biological mother is horrendous. If you are worthy to replace her, be worthy. Otherwise, you are condemning them to suffering. This is like withholding food or toileting as a punishment. We just don't do that. Op's response, it's not a punishment, that's the thing. I can choose what I want to be called the same way they can. They have been calling me by name for weeks by choice when their mom was around. I'd rather them continue, and their mom can have the word mom. Commenter 6, I'm glad you and your spouse were able to reach an agreement to help the girls understand that actions have consequences. I suggest you frame the time they spend with their brother as atonement or a consequence rather than punishment though. The very last thing your household needs is strife that causes a 4-year-old to think he's somehow at fault for the tension. Teamwork and communication, like that displayed by you and your husband, is the best way to teach and show by example. Kudos. My brother's fiancée asked me to host her brother's family of 6 strangers at my house 3 hours from the wedding venue with no childcare plan for their 4 kids, then uninvited me when I said no and called back begging me to babysit instead. Posted by you/aggressive, bet1198. So I, 42F, have been asked to host part of my brother's, Brian, 38M, fiancé's family for their upcoming wedding next weekend. We'll call the fiancée Diane, she's 39F. They've been together almost 5 years. First of all, my brother isn't the sharpest tool in the shed. He has fallen for lie after lie, and still doesn't really see the lies, and years of her fake persona and manipulative behavior. For example, she lied that she couldn't get pregnant in the beginning, literally said her uterus has been removed, then why are you having a period, psycho? They now have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. Still, these were miracle pregnancies. She told him they were ectopic tube pregnancies. Apparently my brother cannot use Google, nor does he believe countless family and friends who told him this was impossible to give birth from an ectopic pregnancy. He works a lot and never was able to get to an OB appointment, and even if he did, he likely wouldn't have asked the doctor. In the end, he said he loves her and it doesn't matter. Okay dude, fine. We'll be happy for you and our new nephews. Needless to say, I am, and much of our family are, not fond of Diane. She is a user of the highest order, disposing of people like Kleenex once their usefulness has expired. I've watched her manipulate my parents, my brother, my sister, her own friends and family. It's just been gross when I've had to deal with her at family holiday events, weddings, funerals, just ew. Now they are finally getting married next weekend. They've been planning this for about 6 months as she is a huge Halloween fanatic but doesn't want to share her anniversary with Halloween Day. It's not a huge event, about 50 people, mostly our family and some of hers. Her brother, his wife, and 4 kids cannot afford a hotel. This is something Diane has known about for months but just asked me last night if they could stay with us since I have the biggest house. This is an unreasonable and undesirable situation for me for a multitude of reasons. 1. I live almost 3 hours away from the venue in the town they will be hosting events such as final dress fittings, rehearsal dinner, bachelor and bachelorette parties. That will be a lot of back and forth for them, especially since my kids and I, plus my +1, are only invited to the wedding and reception. They couldn't even carpool with us because we aren't attending those events. 2. Kids under 13 are not invited to the wedding or reception. Assuming all the adults and my teens will be at the wedding, who's going to watch their kids, 1, 4, 5, and 9, and where will they go during the festivities? My kids are attending their uncle's wedding. We're going to support my brother and see our other family members. So if the plan is to see if I or one of my kiddos, 17, 16, and 15, will do it, the answer is no. 3. I have met these people once in passing. I know nothing about them at all, and if they're anything like their sister, well, I don't want to. Aside from that, there's the whole trusting strangers in my home with my kids as well. Nope. 4. Why exactly can't they stay with Diane's parents? They have a 3-bedroom home and live alone. Why can't they host their son and grandchildren? Answer: he and his dad don't get along, and since her dad is the only decent person in her family that I have met and liked, that's a red flag for me. I told Diane and my brother that I really am not comfortable with this, and the response was please. It's family. Ugh. My boyfriend, weird to say boyfriend at my age, said he would stay with us all weekend if I was uncomfortable having them there alone and would help out since I will also be expected to properly host, which means cooking for everyone, etc. That's great and would help with the uncomfortable part for sure, but even still, aside from the trust issues I have, I am primarily worried about where their kids will be during everything. The response was we're still figuring that out. After that, I doubled down on the no since I have visions of them saying the 9-year-old could babysit 1, 4, and 5-year-old at my house. My family is 50-50 on me being a jerk about it, and Diane's family, except her parents, also think I'm being a jerk since it is just one weekend and I usually host all the holidays and such. They say I am being a snob about it, and I'm out of touch because I cannot appreciate their financial struggles. Good grief, up until a decade ago I was exactly in their shoes monetarily. I don't care that they don't have Bezos money. I care that they are strangers. Someone in my house will likely be expected to babysit and miss the ceremony or be expected to babysit all weekend while their parents are out partying, and the fact that there is family tension between them and their parents is giving me anxiety about what I can expect from my potential guests. Am I being a jerk? Update, same day. I have been getting bombarded with calls and texts from Diane and my brother, which I ignored until about an hour ago. I calmly asked what's up when I answered. I could hear the panic in her voice as she rushed to berate me for being so cruel while she had so much else to deal with. Lady, I work full-time, travel for work, have 2 kids playing high school football, have 2 kids who have part-time jobs, and I am a single mom. I don't exactly have an easy schedule and free time myself. She went on to say that she had been so sure that I would be willing to help, Read, babysit her family that no one else wants around. It seems that she already promised them they could stay in the pool house. Let's be clear, the pool house has a bathroom, a large living area, and a tiny kitchenette. It's barely the size of a primary bedroom, let alone big enough for 6 people. It's not some extravagant space. I told her, sorry, but that's not my problem. You should have asked first. I also have the kids and I booked at the XYZ hotel because I plan to drink at the wedding, and I'm not driving home after that. How did you plan to get them to my house anyway? Are they renting a car? Who's babysitting? Why can't your parents take the kids if the issue is with your brother? Why would he bring them if he couldn't afford it anyway? This is seriously poor planning. I fired those questions off at her like bullets out of a gun. She said this was dumped on her, and she was stuck. I said, so you thought I was the best choice to dump this on to take it off your plate? We aren't exactly close, Diane. Please stop asking me, I'm not going to do this for you. My answer is final. Sorry, not sorry. We're uninvited to the wedding. I don't believe my brother will allow that, but if it comes to pass that we don't get to go, good riddance. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, you are absolutely not the jerk here, and I wouldn't let them into my house either. What if the kids steal your jewelry? What's to prevent the adults from going through your papers and stealing your identity? Best case scenario is that they eat everything in your house, drink all your alcohol, and leave you a major mess to clean up. It's your home. If they're struggling so much financially, why are they coming? It's one thing to host an adult couple, but this is a whole pack of people who will expect you to host and pay their way, and probably use your car. Why aren't the grandkids staying with Diane's parents if the issue is with the son? There's something fishy here. These are complete strangers whose own family don't want to host them. Why should you? Stand your ground, lady. No means no, and maybe the family members who don't like your decision can take them in. Ops response, I agree with all of this, and it's why the situation is giving me pause. I have even considered offering to pay for 2 hotel rooms for them near the wedding venue, but I know that will get twisted back around me being a terrible person who is above her family or some crap, or likely set a precedent that I'll pay for things and solve their problems. Commenter 2, I love that. Please, it's family. Well, it's not Ops family, so that doesn't count. NTA. I think you're really smart not letting yourself be manipulated. Of course, she'll probably get everyone she can to hound you, so just stay off social media and text not your concern to anyone who texts you or sends emailed guilt trips. Ops response, oh yes. That's already happening, the hounding. I'm proud of myself for not snapping anyone's freaking head off yet. I really just want to book them a hotel, but then again, that's still me solving their problem. I texted my other brother who lives out of state and asked him where he is staying when he comes into town. They have a hotel in that town. I am currently in the process of begging him and his family to come stay with me. I think I may have averted this crisis. Commenter 3, what about a hotel near the venue? Cheaper than 3-hour drives for the brother and his family. Ops response, gosh, yes, not to mention they would need to rent a car if they stayed out at my place. If they stayed in a cheap hotel in town, they would be able to catch rides to events and whatnot with their local family members. Seems so simple to me. Gotta say, I'm curious as frick about why their family has blackballed them, and who in the heck I upset that my punishment is being the chosen one to deal with them. It's not happening. Many have a valid point that even we aren't going to want to drive 3 hours home after the wedding and reception. I booked us rooms for the night of the wedding. Up on having security for her house if the family tries to show up. Ops response, fortunately, our road has a gate, and before the gate was put on the road last season, our driveway had a gate. We live in a touristy area in the summer. They won't get too close, and I plan to ignore my phone. I would feel like the most horrible person to turn kids away at night, but I can do it if necessary. I suppose I should text Diane and be very clear that if they show up, they will be stuck. There are no taxis, most places to stay are Airbnbs or small bed and breakfast type places. If they cannot afford the days in near the venue town, no way they can afford one of those places around here. Actually, I'll get in touch with her dad. I know he or his wife will make it understood to them, and if they show in the area, ignore. Update, 1 week later. So my soon-to-be sister-in-law called me and invited us back to the wedding today. Wedding is Saturday. I could tell it was a very forced action on her part, not an ounce of sincerity in her apology, nor any mention that she was in the wrong save for overreacting in the heat of the moment. I had already spoken to my kiddos about what they wanted to do and their thoughts on it if they were to re-invite us, and they were of the same mindset as me, frick that. So we made other plans for the weekend. I passed this along to her, and she had the audacity to say, oh well, then you guys can babysit, right? I literally laughed and told her to frick off. She started crying and saying that I never gave her a chance, I've always been so mean to her, and she doesn't know what she's ever done to me, blah blah blah. Not so gently, Acknowledge that I never gave her the opportunity to pull the wool over my eyes because I am smarter than her, but I have watched her quietly manipulate almost everyone in my family in some way or another. My brother is angry with her because we're not coming, and it was her responsibility to make it right, and she completely blew it. To be fair, my brother hasn't communicated to me once personally about the incident, and that kinda upsets me too. Like, you couldn't tell me you don't feel the same and you would like us to come? I've got my dad saying of course he wants you guys there. He is so upset at Diane. Okay, Pops. So that's all, folks. We'll be spending our weekend at the Michigan vs. Michigan State football game and tailgating with the best fans in the state. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Other than saying she didn't believe she could have children over 5 years ago, which really is none of your business, how has she caused family drama? How has she manipulated people? You're NTA because you can decide who can and can't stay at your house, but you do come off as a cold jerk who probably didn't give her a chance. Ops response, this isn't a she didn't believe she could have them and lucked out type of situation. She baby trapped my brother by saying she had her uterus removed. No one without a uterus can ever get pregnant, and an ectopic pregnancy is a 1 in a million fallopian tube pregnancy that results in the passing of the fetus and possible passing for the mother. Neither of these things are possible at all. There was no misunderstanding, she lied and manipulated him. None of my business? Maybe not, but it surely shows the type of person she is. I did give her an honest try. She wasn't my cup of tea for sure, but I didn't give up on her until the baby drama and all that has transpired since. She told my parents she has stage 3 ovarian cancer, but her insurance wouldn't allow her to pursue treatment unless she had a dedicated care person. My dad quit his job to provide that for her. There were all kinds of mishaps. He never got training, never got paid, etc. etc. 3 months later, she admitted she didn't have cancer, just didn't want to be alone all the time. So my dad took an early retirement for nothing. I don't know how many times she asked one of my kids to babysit with pay and then never paid them. Twice there was no food in the house, and my daughter had to order DoorDash to feed my nephew. In itself, not an issue, but don't lie. Just say I can't afford to pay you, but could you help me out? She told her boss that she was missing so much work because her fiancé is a substance addict and abusive towards the kids, so she takes off the days when he doesn't work to protect her kids if he is high. Of course, her employer called CPS. Turns out she was the one with a substance issue. She went to rehab, and all is well in the world again. The list goes on and on. If she says the sky is blue, you better look out the window and check for yourself. Sadly, my brother chalks all this up to her struggling with addiction, but she's sober now and better, according to him. For what it's worth, she's still a crap person. If that makes me cold-hearted, then so be it. Commenter 2, I hope they don't know where you live and try to break into your home or something stupid like that. Ops response, well, fortunately our home has a gated drive and security system, and this past spring, the township we live in turned our road into a private and gated road due to many issues with summer tourists. Initially, I had considered removing our gate because it seemed like overkill, but now it seems like a blessing in disguise. Commenter 3, she just sounds like a right pain. Have a great weekend away from her mess. Also, her lack of effort in the apology, not to mention re-inviting you days before the wedding, is just childish. Good luck to your brother. Ops response, yes. He's gonna need it. Commenter 4, NTA. Yeah, your brother told her to fix it and handed his balls off in the process, and your dad's enabling his nonsense. This is peak Reddit advice by a mile, but don't be surprised if they try to leave the kids at your door under the guise of you're not coming so you're free or some crap like that. Get a doorbell camera or camera that aims at the entrance to your house so if she pulls that particular brand of nonsense, you call the cops and say that you're in East Lansing. I am a college football fan myself, and did not consent to the kids being dropped off and nope. Go have fun at the game. Let them drown. My fiancé's best friend's wife ignores me, talks badly about me to my friends, and acts like I'm stealing her man's best friend. Then she showed up 20 minutes late to our wedding and announced her pregnancy while I was in the other room. Posted by you/classy_polarbear 1072. I don't really know what to do, and there is so much backstory here, but I am really stressing about this girl that's invited to my wedding. I'm not really sure where to start because there is a lot that has led up to this moment. Ultimately, my fiancé has had Matt as his best friend for 20 years. Matt is a cool and solid guy but not trustworthy. Matt just got married to Kat a couple weeks ago, but they had been engaged since 2022. They were never in a rush to get married, and anytime anyone asked, that's exactly what they said. After my fiancé and I got engaged, winter 2025, and we knew we wanted a short engagement, Matt and Kat immediately started planning their wedding after they found out. Anytime I tried to talk to Kat about her wedding or otherwise, she either gave me an attitude or flat out ignored me. Unless she has had a few drinks where she asks about the tea, she ignores my existence completely. When I attended her bridal shower and wedding, she wouldn't even look in my direction, and when I went up to congratulate her, she sounded less than enthused about it. I recently found out that Kat has been saying terrible things about me when I'm not around and essentially tries to turn one of my closest friends against me. It seems to be working. According to the people I heard from, that Kat was talking bad. They think she might be upset that I'm stealing her man's best friend from him, but what? I don't think that makes sense. I don't want her starting any drama at my wedding. I don't want to be stressed that she and my other close friend are spending time together at my wedding, but this is technically my fiancé's call, right? Since it's his best friend's wife? It's as much his day as it is mine, but I don't want this girl bringing her shadow and putting a damper on the whole thing. What could the solution be here? Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I think you are going to have a lot more drama if you don't invite her, to be honest. Just don't sit her with your friends. Ops response, yeah, you're right about the drama. We are having a small ceremony though, 40 people, and there's no seating assignment at the restaurant we booked. It's a buffet and kind of just a lounge type of vibe. Commenter 2, tough. It's not just your wedding, it's also your fiancé's wedding as you said, and I'm sure he'd prefer it if his best friend had his wife there. Seat her elsewhere and just suck it up for the day. Ops response, actually, he doesn't like her either. Commenter 3, Op, is this a pattern for you? And by this I mean, feeling like you have to manage everyone else's emotions to avoid conflict? The reason I ask is that your other post suggests maybe you find it deeply uncomfortable to put yourself forward or let other people manage their own reactions. If I'm wrong, then I'll shut my mouth. If I'm not and this is a pattern, I feel for you. It's a hard pattern to break, but with work it is possible. Finally, let people talk about you if they want. It only affects your life if you let it. Be unbothered and focus on yourself. Ops response, thank you for this. I've actually done a lot of work to get where I am, but it's still a work in progress. I've always had issues with feeling like I'm a burden to others and just putting myself last because it's easier to regulate my emotions than deal with other people's emotions. That being said, I figured that a wedding day was important enough to put myself first, but I'm not the only one in the picture here. It's my fiancé also. Also, I don't care in the slightest if people talk about me. I just don't want that vibe at my wedding. Commenter 4, I don't think you can exclude her without drama. Be the bigger person. People know who the jerk is. Ops response, yeah, you're right. Really looking for boundaries I can set, or maybe have people that can run interference during the day. I don't know, maybe I'm making this a bigger deal than it is. Commenter 5, there are no drama-free options. Pick the one you can live with. What kind of close friends believe the other person without cause? Ops response, probably the people-pleaser kind that doesn't like conflict and always wants to keep the peace, so they don't stick up for their friends. Commenter 5, you said that Kat was starting to turn people against you. There's a difference between being too wimpy to speak up and switching sides. Ops response, maybe I'm viewing it the wrong way. I understand everyone has their stuff going on, but I've been reaching out to my friend to get together with her since the spring. Without fail, she will cancel or change plans which never end up happening, but always makes time for Kat. I've gone out of my way for this friend many times. Maybe I'm missing something and I should definitely have a conversation with her directly as soon as I can, but something seems fishy. Maybe Kat didn't turn this friend against me per se, but something is different than it used to be before Kat showed up. But thank you for helping me realize that I need to talk to my friend before jumping to conclusions. Commenter 6, Ops should talk with her fiancé to let him know what was going on and what he thinks about this. Ops response, I actually just talked to him about everything going on, and he said that everyone that is invited. Asking anyone not to come would cause more drama, which is the opposite of what we want, and that after our day we don't have to associate with them anymore. Ops response, honestly, he and his best friend haven't even been talking lately, so I'm not really sure where he stands there. I mean, he still wants him at his wedding, but he doesn't like or respect his best friend's wife, so at this point they have also grown distant recently. Update, 2 weeks later. Some people asked to be updated, so here it is. Okay, so fiancé and I talked. He had been growing kind of distant from this friend anyway, so he basically told me that we won't pay attention to them since it's our wedding, and afterwards we don't really need to associate with them. After this talk, his best friend Matt called him on a Saturday afternoon and invited us to his son's birthday party. When fiancé told me about this, I asked who was gonna be there. Is it a small thing, or was this planned and we were an afterthought? Matt's wife Kat would have done all the inviting to the party. Well, we show up and we were definitely an afterthought. This party was pretty huge. Grandparents and great-grandparents were there, all their friends and their families, etc. We ended up staying for a little bit but leaving before most of the others. We kept to the plan we spoke about, even though the whole party thing hurt, especially since my fiancé is supposed to be this kid's godparent. Anyway, wedding day comes and this group of friends is running late. My fiancé kept walking away from the officiant when they asked if we were ready to start to buy time for the friends to show up. They were probably 20 minutes late. Whatever, I don't care. I'm as cool as a cucumber and am just going with the flow of the day. We get through the ceremony without a hitch after they arrive. After the ceremony, we do post pics, family, friends, etc. We get to the girl's pic, and Kat is like, "Do you want me in this?" I'm agreeable because I'm in a fantastic mood and don't really think anything of it. At the reception though, some of my high school friends tell me Kat is being weird, rude, and whatever. My other friend told me at the end of the night that Kat announced her pregnancy when I was in the other room. All in all, there was no direct drama with me, and the day was everything I could have asked for, and more. I think at this point we are planning on keeping these friends at arm's length and just living our lives. Thanks to everyone who gave me constructive advice. It was helpful to get some outsider's perspective. Relevant comments. Commenter: in this situation, I think keeping these friends at arm's length should mean not doing anything purposely to engage with them and leave the burden of mending the relationship on them. If they don't, then you know that they're no longer really friends, and you can cut your losses. You all sound really young, so you've probably not yet learned that a lot of friendships you make early in your adulthood don't survive as you all grow, mature, and choose different paths in life. Congrats on your wedding, and I hope a very long and fulfilling marriage for you.
My girlfriend and I were at a university event when I spotted her with this mystery girl who had her hand seriously low on her back. Then, when I came home early from a cancelled trip, I found that same girl in my bed with someone under the covers. Posted by u/Jackson20133. I saw people get a lot of responses on here, so I thought I'd create an account to see what advice anyone can offer. Sorry for the essay. Okay, a little backstory. My girlfriend, 20F, we'll call her Jess, and I, 22M, have been in a relationship for nearly 18 months. She's very attractive, and in all honesty I wouldn't say I'm a lost cause, but I'm certainly punching a bit. Anyway, last week we were at an exhibition function for our shared university course. It was a fairly normal evening up until I saw her talking to this girl from the other side of the hall. Nothing unusual, I just didn't recognize her. However, when they turned around I noticed the mystery girl had her hand seriously low on my girlfriend's back. I didn't think much of it at the time, but they were completely inseparable for the entire evening. The next week or so we were unusually distant from each other. I wanted to make sure nothing was wrong before I went away. I was going to Bristol for the weekend, and I didn't want to leave things on bad terms before I left, but she was having none of it, just being really blunt and such. So, I left for my parents, who were giving me a ride to Bristol, but when I got there my mom said the old man was ill and we wouldn't be going, at least not today. So, already angry that she didn't tell me this over the phone, I drove back to ours in a foul mood, and that's when I caught her. The front door was off the latch for some reason, so I didn't need my key. I came in the door normally, but kind of stopped when I heard what sounded like Jess giggling. We live on a ground floor apartment, so there are no floorboards to creak. As I got closer, I could hear someone, clearly a female, sound quite breathy, like panting. At this point I thought Jess might have been having some alone time or something, so I was about to make myself known until I looked down and saw a pair of worn pink All-Stars that I knew were not Jess's. At this point, confusion was starting to build, and as I turned the corner our bedroom door was wide open and there was the girl from the gallery in my freaking bed and someone was beneath the covers. What the heck is this, I believe was my first reaction. Gallery girl just stared at me, shocked, yet as I called to Jess something strange happened. Absolutely nothing at all. She just stayed under the covers and didn't move. For what felt like the longest time, I just stood there, open-mouthed, until I finally shook myself into action and started to leave. Next thing I know, she comes flying out of the door into the hallway of the block, wearing just a pair of panties and a tank top for God's sake, trying to somehow make this out to be my fault. I literally didn't know what to say. She's freaking out, and all I could come up with was, "You're not wearing anything. Get back inside, we'll discuss this later." When I got back to the car, the belated rage began to set in. I was angry she cheated, angry she blamed it on me, and angry I didn't say something else. Honestly, it's the most ridiculous, absurd scenario I've ever found myself in, and perhaps that's why I wasn't so angry initially, but now I'm wondering what to do. I didn't know she was into girls. She never mentioned anything like that, and now she's cheated on me with one and we're renting an apartment together. Is this just her experimenting? Can we recover? Has anyone been in this situation before? I am at my wit's end here, people. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, drop her like it's hot. She's trying to justify being a shitty person, that ain't your fault. Ops response, that's all I can think of, but there's many other things to consider, in all fairness. Commenter 1, look, obviously no one here is gonna know the whole story in every detail. Based on information given, that's probably the best course, unless you're trying to justify her cheating and looking for validation that it is actually your fault so you can feel good about staying with her. Ops response, I don't mean consider from her side. She did the dirty, I know that, but we've literally just committed to a 6-month rental. She's texting all the time saying she's sorry. I just don't want to be too rash here. Commenter 1, if you saw her getting smashed by a man, would you still hold the same opinion? Ops response, I guess not. I wanted to tell myself she was maybe just experimenting, but she was clearly going down on this chick, and I honestly don't know how long it's been going on. Commenter 1. Cheating is cheating, doesn't matter if it's a man or woman, and even if it was experimenting, I'm not gonna expect my significant other to be comfortable with her coming home to me fricking another dude's butthole because I was curious. Commenter 2. Experimenting or not, she cheated on you. Now there are two things you can do: try and patch it up, or end the relationship. Commenter 3. Actually, based on his edit, it sounds more like she used him to hide her sexuality. Ops response. Yeah, to be honest, the more I learn about this the more it sounds like she's way past experimenting. Commenter 4. I mean, she was going down on the other girl. I might be able to believe this was an experimenting thing if it was the other way around, but most girls don't just go from 100% straight to eating kitty. They just don't. Regardless, it's still cheating. Ops response. Honestly, it's this kind of thing that's been going round my mind since it happened. She never let on a single hint she was anything but straight until the moment I found her between another girl's legs. Feels like the whole thing we had has just been a lie. Commenter 5. Can you go into a little more detail about her absurd reaction? You teased it in the title, but trying to somehow make this out to be my fault didn't really deliver. Ops response. Well, partly absurd because she was wearing basically nothing out in the hallway where strangers from other apartments come and go, and she's historically quite a modest person. Worse though, because she said something along the lines of "you said you were leaving for Bristol," which absolutely flabbergasted me. Then the nail in the coffin was "what, so I get all the blame for this?" To which I had no appropriate response other than absolute fury, so I took the decision to calmly tell her to go back inside and I left. Edit. I've read nearly all of these comments now, and honestly, you guys are pretty much spot on, I'm afraid. I can't go back to her and keep any shred of dignity, especially after I found Gallery Girl on Facebook earlier and messaged her. She admitted it's been going on a while and is desperate for me not to tell anyone. As much as it would be a shitty move, I'm seriously considering outing them both. Knowing her friends, the last thing Jess would want is for them to think she's into girls. I know it's petty, but I'm just so mad right now. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. In regards to your edit about outing her, I understand that you already said you wouldn't, but please consider before telling anyone anything no matter the circumstances. Outing her could put her in physical danger, with her family, her friends, random people on the street. It's not just a shitty thing to do, it's literally bargaining her physical health, living situation, friendships, relationships, etc. She did a horrible thing, but nothing calls for that. Commenter 2. This is the UK. People aren't as bothered about these things as they are in the US. She certainly wouldn't be in any physical danger. Pretty much all the women I know identify as bisexual. It's not all that surprising when you find out a girl likes being with other women. Ops response. Honestly, the worst thing that would happen is that her jerk friends, who she used to make derogatory lesbian jokes with, would realize how much of a freaking hypocrite she has been this whole time. Couldn't think of a nicer outcome for the girl. Update, 2 days later. Had a lot of back and forth texts with my ex. She stopped saying she's sorry, instead trying to say that I didn't see what I thought I saw, which is hilarious. Here's the kicker though, she told one of our mutual friends, a girl, that we split up because she had a guy round and I hit the roof and overreacted. Wasn't gonna divulge the full story to anyone, but after I heard she had said that I told this mutual friend the whole story. Mutual friend didn't believe me, so I showed her the messages between me and Gallery Girl. Now her friends at least know she's a cheat and a liar. Also, I told the landlord I'd like to take myself off the lease because this has happened, and he's looking into it. Hopefully that can be resolved in the next week or so. I've also been getting spammed with texts from Jess today saying I'm heartless and I've ruined her life. Oh, the irony. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. While I sit here on my balcony and smoke my last cigarette for today, bedtime, nothing better has ever satisfied this loneliness of mine than reminiscing about a post I read earlier today by Op, and the result being posted with sweet vengeance. Bless you, stranger, you've made my heart a little lighter. Op's response. Obviously it's a shitty situation all round, and honestly I was willing to pretty much let it all slide after I cooled off from yesterday, but lying about me to our mutual friends? Nah. Commenter 2. Oh, please tell her this, like, not in a way that she can reply back because you should cut her out, but like in a snarky note on a bouquet of the cheapest flowers ever, left on the stoop to your old apartment. She opens the door, reads the start of the note and feels hope, and then you dash it. But I am a vengeful god. Don't take my advice. Op's response. Haha, it's good advice in my opinion, however I am in constant discourse with the girl despite the fact she is talking absolute nonsense. Commenter 2. Well, here's some good advice then, stop talking to her. There's nothing to gain from it. I mean, come on, she's obviously an idiot. Thinking back to the first post when she was hugged up in the gallery while you were there, how does a person that stupid manage to feed and clothe themselves? Op's response. You are correct. After tonight, I dare say we won't speak again, other than me going over to get my stuff. Commenter 3. She told one of your mutual friends, a girl, that you split up because she had a guy round and you hit the roof and overreacted. Wasn't gonna divulge the full story to anyone, but after you heard she had said that, you told this mutual friend the whole story. Yeah, I suspect once you start lying like she did, all bets are off. She compounded an already terrible situation. I don't think she thought things through. Ops response: yeah, I tried to explain this to her over text. This is completely all her own doing. She at first claimed I didn't see what I know I saw. Then she tried to explain that people might think I'm making it up, clearly not realizing I'd spoken to Gallery Girl over Facebook. I showed her the proof, but said I wouldn't out her if she was honest about it all with our friends. She wasn't honest, so I told them. I really don't know what she thought would happen here. Commenter 4, she stopped saying she's sorry, instead trying to say that you didn't see what you thought you saw. How dumb does she think you are? What was she expecting you to say? Oh, you're right, I didn't see you in bed with someone else after all, I was just hallucinating? Ops response: I think she's just in full damage control mode now and, quite frankly, isn't making a lot of sense. She'd rather shift the blame back onto me than confront the fact that her slightly homophobic friends now know she's into girls, so she's panicking. Commenter 5, I can't help but wonder, do you just have to take a moment and wonder what kind of person you were dating? She just sounds so dumb. Ops response: honestly, I know I've painted a picture of an incredibly stupid girl, but that's what makes her actions here all the more shocking to me. She really isn't that dumb. I have to believe that her getting caught in a seriously compromising position is what has led her to act so stupidly, because I have found myself completely dumbfounded at some of the stuff she has done and said since I caught the two of them. What the ex told the friends exactly. I think her implication to the mutual friend was that there was just a guy at our house and no funny business was going on, like there actually was with the girl. My wife is 5 months pregnant and spiraling because years ago during our engagement she responded to a message from the guy she left me for, so I broke up with her, then hooked up with her while casually dating someone else and she knew the whole time but stayed. Posted by you/Adventurous Race 4813. We have a long history. We met at 22 and were in an exclusive situationship. Feelings were there on both sides, and she admitted she loved me, but since she wanted to be single and explore herself, she chose not to be with me and eventually got with someone else, knowing it badly hurt me. I cut her off at that time. At 27, we crossed paths again. Despite how messy and painful things had been, the feelings were still there like an invisible thread. She deeply apologized, went to personal therapy, and we had long talks before starting something serious. We took it slow. There were a lot of happy times and shared goals. I started to picture marriage, and we eventually got engaged. 7 months into our engagement, she got an Instagram request from the guy she had left me for. She responded politely when he messaged hello. That seriously hurt me because I thought he was gone from our lives for good. I couldn't shake the feeling that my fiancé still couldn't resist getting validation from him, even if it was just basic courtesy, and that not immediately rejecting the request or talking to me about it wasn't her first instinct. She tried to explain she didn't realize I'd have a problem with it, but I couldn't move past it and broke up with her, even though it left both of us heartbroken, more so her. During the breakup, I wasn't sure if I wanted to be with her, so I started sleeping with her again while also dating someone else casually and having intimate time. She knew, but she stayed involved with me anyway. Eventually I saw how much it was hurting her, so I told her I should let her go and that what I was doing wasn't good for her mental health. But I was also impressed with how much she was willing to put herself through for me. After months, we got back together for good and later married. My wife recognized her role in how things had gone, and those hookups and casual dating weren't intensely emotional for me, even though I wasn't sure if I wanted to be with her at the moment. This is where it got hard because I once told her in a serious conversation, this is right before we got engaged again, that I don't regret what I did. As painful as it was, I felt it balanced our relationship. Since she had left me when we were younger, at least I wasn't the only one who pined for the other. She also had to emotionally work to keep someone, like I once did. It was toxic in a way, but it gave me mental closure. She didn't like hearing that, but she accepted it graciously, and we went on to have 3 good years of marriage. Now, at 5 months pregnant, she's spiraling again. She cries every day, saying I cheated right in front of her, and begs and demands I take back what I said. She wants me to say I didn't need to sleep with other people, but I can't erase the facts or deny my own truth, especially since in my perspective she was the one who first allowed that old guy to re-enter the picture. So I doubled down and told her no, she knew about all of this. Please also note that this topic never once came up in our 3.5 years of togetherness ever since we got back together again. She only started pestering me about it a couple of weeks ago. I didn't start this, but I was firm on where I stood. That sent her into even more hysterics. I tried to explain that during those months I genuinely wasn't sure if I wanted to be with her, but that only made her cry harder. Update, 1 day later. When I wrote my original post, I was still in the office away from her when I left our house. I had spent it numbed out at work, then slept at my office. I am writing this update while I am working from home today, and she's with her mom right now. When I was away, I didn't pick up her calls even though she rang me several times. I lost count. I just needed space to process and figure out what to say, because even if people argue I don't love her, the truth is I'm attached to her. Maybe we're even a little codependent at this point. When I finally went home, she greeted me, but it looked like she hadn't slept the whole night. I stopped her from going to the kitchen and said we needed to talk first. I told her, before I say anything else, know that I'm willing to give us another shot, but I'm also reevaluating whether this marriage should continue or not. I could see she wanted to cry, but I appreciated that she stayed patient and listened. I told her I wish our history wasn't so messy, that we didn't have so much baggage. I said that even though I wish things had played out differently, I'm never going to outright admit I cheated on her because I didn't, but I do love her and feel empathy for her pain, and I wish it hadn't hurt the way it did. What I needed her to understand though, is that she can't keep demanding I say I regret what I did. The truth is, breaking up with her and being unsure if I wanted her as my partner was a direct response to what happened during our engagement when she let that old connection back into her life. Even before that, I had felt unequal in the relationship. When she left me for someone else years ago, I had asked her to be official and she said no, so she could use the technicality to walk away without feeling like the bad guy. That left me insecure, and maybe it's toxic, but I really did feel that my actions later brought some balance to our relationship. For once, she felt what it was like not to have all of my loyalty, just like I once had to feel with her. I told her that while I wish it hadn't unfolded this way, she has to find a way to accept my perspective. She can't keep projecting her guilty conscience onto me. None of this would have happened if not for her choices first. In some ways, it probably would have been better if we never got back together, but here we are, and we've built a family. I reiterated that these are my feelings, the same ones I was honest about when we reconciled. I asked her to tell me within a reasonable time frame whether she can truly live with that or not. I said I'm open to exploring this in marriage counseling with her, but I'm also clear about what I can and cannot say, and no matter what, my feelings about it won't change. If she can't accept it, then we'll have to figure out what's best for our child, together or apart. She broke down in a way that reminded me of years ago when she first admitted her guilt and apologized for leaving me, except this time it was worse. Through sobs, she said she doesn't want to lose me, but she also doesn't feel like I truly choose her. She even admitted the irony of it, pointing out that she knows this is exactly how I once felt during our relationship when she broke our boundaries. Hearing her say that hit me, because it showed she understood the parallel, even if it's unbearable for her. She told me she had time to think and realized that a big part of why she wanted me to say what she wanted was because she still hasn't fully forgiven herself for what happened all those years ago when she left me to be with her ex. She said it was the worst mistake of her life. Even though things have been good between us, she felt like she needed more than just therapy. She needed my validation. In her mind, if I admitted I regretted what I said and how I felt, that would finally allow her to forgive herself and move forward in our relationship. I understand her more now and have empathy, even though I don't fully agree with her that I needed to say that to soothe her feelings of guilt. That really moved me because I hadn't realized that guilt was the real driver behind her extra vulnerability and shame spirals. She said my refusal to take it back just reopens her shame and makes it worse. I told her that at the time I was hurt and unsure about us, and I made choices I thought I needed to, but I also see now how badly they hurt her. I promised her I'll never repeat them, because today I know with certainty that I want her and only her. For me, this feels like a personal breakthrough. We both admitted that what we truly want is the same thing, to feel chosen. At least that gives us common ground to work from. In the end, even though we were both in tears, we kept coming back to the fact that we love each other. We kissed, broke down crying together, and spent the few hours in early morning holding each other, but even in that closeness I couldn't shake the feeling that our issues aren't resolved. I still don't know where we stand in terms of any real agreement, only that we're deeply attached and neither of us wants to let go.
I overheard my guy roommates talking about how slutty I dress and joking about which one of them I'm desperate to hook up with, even though I've seen them walking around in their boxers. Posted by you/sluttygirl55. I, 20F, live with 3 boys, 2024M, and 1 other girl. Up until this point, we were all pretty friendly. Yesterday I overheard the 3 guys talking downstairs. I don't think they knew I was home. They were talking about how slutty I dress and laughing. One of them said I must be so desperate to hook up with one of them, and they were making jokes about which one of them it is. I'm so upset. I generally wear shorts and a tank top around the house, just because they're comfortable. Sometimes when it's hot I'll wear crop tops. I don't purposely dress provocatively, just picture your standard H&M or Forever 21 outfit. I've seen the guys walking around downstairs in boxers or with their shirts off. It wasn't a big deal to me, so I just assumed we were all cool. Why is it okay for them to be in their underwear but not for me to wear my everyday clothes? Additionally, one of them has a girlfriend who dresses exactly the same, if not more revealing than me. Very low-cut shirts, short shorts, etc. It's totally fine that she dresses this way, but I don't get why she's fine but I'm a slut. And here's the kicker, I'm in a long-distance relationship with my girlfriend, because I'm gay as heck. What do? I don't feel like I'm in the wrong, but I am so uncomfortable with the idea of being around them knowing that they're thinking about how much of a slut I am and how I'm desperately trying to attract them. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I think next time you see one of them in boxers or shirtless, you should say, dude, you're dressing pretty slutty today. That's so funny, you must be so desperate to hook up with someone in this house. Who is it? Then when they look at you like you grew 2 heads, laugh, inform them they're gross but you don't give a frick because you wouldn't sleep with sniggering spineless morons even if you were into men. I wouldn't be friends with people who talked about me this way. Ops response, ha 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 ha, oh my god, that's hilarious. The look on their face would be priceless. I just walk into the room, sigh, and go, "Look, dude, I know you're super desperate to sleep with me, but it's not gonna happen, so you can just stop dressing like a slut now." Yeah, I guess I'm just a little sad because I kinda like these guys. It hurt to hear from people who I thought were my friends, but whatever. If anything, my girlfriend got a kick out of it. They have no idea how wrong they are. Commenter 2, I don't know if this applies to you at all, but here goes. I've heard this about me too several times over the years, 29F here, even if I've shown less skin than the girl next to me. I'm pretty voluptuous and quickly learned that what looks sporty or even classy on other girls seem to still come across as slutty or dressing up provocatively when I wear it, shorts and tank tops definitely being on the list of what's been commented on. It's an unfortunate effect which I've had to come to terms with. The good news is these childish notions seem to disappear as you grow older. And the best way to counter those sort of remarks is to hold your head high and stay confident with a don't give a dang attitude. It's a learned skill, but it's dang great. Ops response, I completely feel you. I have a lot of friends who have larger chests or who developed early, and I have nothing but sympathy for the stuff these girls have to deal with. Aside from actual, literal back pain, they've told me how much trouble they've had buying clothes that don't look provocative, and even when they're wearing very covered up clothing, people will still manage to look at them in an intimate light. I'm about average sized, so this doesn't really apply to me, but I appreciate the advice. It's really unfair the way society treats girls with larger chests. It's not as if they can help it. Commenter 3, they think you are hot. They are attracted to you and are embarrassed that they find you so distracting, and are using bravado to try to make themselves feel better about it. I call them out and tell them if you were a guy dressing that way they wouldn't care, and that it's them creating the issue, not you. Ops response, haha, oh man, that first part made me laugh. If only they could have voiced it as a compliment to me instead. You're probably right about the last bit. I agree, it's just that I'm kind of scared of saying that to their faces. Maybe I'll work up the courage. Update, 3 days later. Firstly, I just wanted to thank you guys for being so sweet in the last thread. I was so stressed out and you guys made me laugh. Before I posted, I was basically set on hiding awkwardly in my room or maybe dressing more conservatively when I left my room. After I saw all your responses, I was filled with a feminist, body-positive rage. These boys were not going to get away with slut-shaming me. Of the 3 guys, I'm closest with Tom, boy 1, so I decided to talk to him individually. I heard him coming up the stairs, and I just took a deep breath and walked out of my room, smiled, and asked if I could talk to him for a minute. He came into my room and we were just making small talk. I shut the door, summoned all of my assertiveness, and said, "So, I actually have something weird to talk to you about. I heard you guys talking about me the other day. I'd like to say that I threw down with this boy, that I told him that sexism is not cool or funny and I won't put up with it and demand that he apologize, but instead I cried. A lot. I straight up just broke down. I couldn't even speak." Tom looked absolutely devastated. He immediately apologized, said I wasn't supposed to hear any of that, but I wasn't really paying attention because I was just trying to get a grip on myself. There's nothing more awkward than crying in front of someone when you're not on that level yet. Anyway, I asked him if that was really what he thought of me. He said no, and that they were just being dumb, and that when Sam, boy 2, brought it up he was really surprised and knew it was wrong, but he didn't call him out on it. He said he should have, and he knew he should have, but he didn't want to make a big deal about it because Sam and Bob, boy 3, were just joking around, even though they were being mean. He said it was crappy of him not to call them out, and that by not saying anything and acting like it was funny, he allowed it to happen. He said that he has no excuse and he's sorry. This checks out. From what I heard, it was mainly Sam and Bob saying the bad stuff. I said I knew they were just joking around, but it made me feel horrible to be talked about that way, and that the sexism really slapped me in the face. He agreed and said it was horrible, and he also said something like, not that it's an excuse, but you're really pretty and I think that's why we were talking about you that way. None of us actually believed what we were saying, but I think it was just wishful thinking and we were idiots about it. So for all you guys who suggested that they were attracted to me, bingo. I laughed and told Tom that I had a girlfriend. He said that was totally cool, and then looked embarrassed and said they must have looked like complete idiots bragging about how much I wanted to sleep with them. I agreed. Tom asked if there was anything he could do to make up for it. I told him not to tell the other guys anything because I don't really want to talk about it anymore, but if they ever start talking about another person like that, even if it's not me, to speak up. He promised me he would and apologized about 9 million more times and left. I heard him go into his room, and then immediately leave and go out the front door. I didn't think much of it and put my headphones in and played Trackmania for a while. Later that day I opened my door and there was a big cardboard box right outside my door. My first thought was that I'd ordered something from Amazon and forgot about it, but it looked like a used box that someone had repurposed and taped shut. I dragged it into my room and opened it. Guys, it was a bouquet of flowers and a cake with the word sorry written on it. If you're thinking that I cried for the second time in 3 hours, well, you're right. Anyway, I'm sorry I didn't throw down with them like so many of you wanted. Unfortunately, I am but a tiny cream puff. I'm working a lot on being more assertive, but in this scenario I handled it as best as I could. Confronting Tom about it was actually super scary, but I'm proud of myself for bringing it up at all. I accept Tom's apology. He seemed genuine, and this does seem like a one-off crappy behavior situation. He's usually a pretty stand-up guy. The other guys, I don't know. To be honest, I wasn't super sold on them to start with, so I feel like I'll just continue to not pursue a friendship with them. And I'll continue to dress however I want. Lastly, serious thanks to all of you for your responses. I was hesitant to post this on Reddit because Reddit can sometimes be not so nice about women's issues, but y'all are cool. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, no matter what, you came out of this on top because you got free cake. Ops response, moral of this story, cry more so that people give you cake. You bet your butt I have the entire cake next to me right now, and I've just been eating it directly with a fork because I'm an animal. Commenter 2, oh man, don't even worry about having a breakdown. Half the times I think I'm about to be fierce and direct in facing someone, I end up just crying in anxiety about the situation and blubbering out word garbage. Honestly, it seems like opening up to him may have really helped him understand you, and he'll hopefully have your back in the future. Ops response, God, I totally feel you. If anyone ever confronts me, I just break down. Like I'm not trying to manipulate them by making them feel sorry for me, I genuinely just cry super easily. And yeah, I'm really glad I did it this way. Aside from, not doing it in the first place. I can't imagine Tom having a better response. Commenter 3, so for all you guys who suggested that they were attracted to me, bingo. It's quite telling to me how displaying male attraction seems tied into mistreatment and degradation of said woman they're attracted to, and how so many guys seem to trip over themselves either excusing it or not calling this nonsense out. Free cake though. Ops response, yeah, it's a weird feeling. Guiltily, I'm kind of flattered that they think I'm pretty, but it's also like, they expressed this by calling me a slut, so that sort of takes away from the flattery. Someone in the last thread mentioned that this was just dumb young boy behavior, and I kinda hope so. Not that boys will be boys is an excuse, but more that I hope as they get older they realize that this kind of stuff makes people feel really bad. I realized I look exactly like my fiancé's mom when I met her for the first time, so I decided to test him by changing my appearance with a wig. Posted by u/throwerfreud. I, 24F, have been with my fiancé, 28M, for the past 5 years and engaged for the past year. He's the love of my life, and we get along very well. He's always had a strange adoration for his mother. He usually talks about how smart, how kind, how funny she is. I always thought it was sweet because I don't have a good relationship with my mother. He often said I have the same personality type as his mother too. We're both INTPs. During our whole relationship, I hadn't met his family. We live in Germany, they're in the US. We're currently visiting them now. When I met her, I really liked her. She's 64, so I didn't notice our resemblance at first, but when I looked at her wedding photos with my fiancé's father, I really looked like I could be her daughter. Even my fiancé's father pointed it out. We both have curly ginger hair and green eyes, and we both have bangs. We are a similar height and build. It's so eerie. If you compare a photo of her in her youth with me, we look like we could be sisters. His mother is also a fan of red lipstick. Guess what color the lipsticks he buys me are? Red. I asked a few friends what they thought, and they said this obviously can't be a coincidence. I decided to speak to him before bed yesterday, and I pointed out how similar I was to his mother. He shrugged and said people usually choose partners who are similar to their parents. I didn't believe him, but he showed me some articles on Google. I tried to let it go today, but I met some more of his relatives, and everyone is talking about how his mother and I look like we're related. His mother finds this whole thing cute and has said, "My son misses me so much when he's in Germany that he found my look-alike." How do I approach a conversation with him about this again? Or am I just overreacting and should I let it go? I would love some advice. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, Lamau, change your appearance and update us. Commenter 2, this is such a good idea. I hope she tries it. Ops response, I am. I will be using some temporary dye on my hair. Commenter 3, what color are you going for? I feel like dark would be better because you're ginger, so it's a more drastic change than blonde, but if you wanted to go back it might ruin the color maybe. Ops response, I've got a few bottles of brown root spray. It's a dark brown. I'm gonna try it out after I wash my hair. Commenter 4, Sigmund Freud has entered the chat. Commenter 5, Freud would love him. Commenter 6, not the Oedipus complex. Commenter 7, do you feel like you have a mothering role in the relationship? Ops response: I don't think so. He works more hours than me and earns more, so he pays for most of our expenses. I handle most of the housework and cooking. Commenter 8: But isn't that traditionally the mother role, cooking and cleaning? Commenter 9: I think you are reading too much into it. I would not stress over it until he calls you mommy during intimate time. Ops response: You're not gonna like what I'm about to tell you. Commenter 10: Does he call you mommy in the bedroom? Ops response: Sometimes. Commenter 11: What a jerk. Edit: A commenter told me to add this here. I didn't want to earlier because it's a bit vulgar, but he does call me mommy in bed sometimes. Update: 6 days later. Hello everyone. I posted 5 days ago asking for advice because I realized that my fiancé's mother and I look extremely similar. Most of the advice told me to change my appearance, which is what I did. I managed to find a very nice wig. It has straight brown hair. His sister-in-law installed it for me. I've had it on for 3 days now, and my fiancé hates it. He's annoyed at his sister-in-law for installing it too. I made sure it was a brown that suited me because I am very pale, and everyone has complimented it but him. Even his mother said it was beautiful. My fiancé keeps saying it doesn't suit my complexion and that my ginger hair is much better. I made up a lie and told him that my hair couldn't deal with the water in the US. Germany has hard water, but the city my fiancé's family lives in has even harder water, miraculously, so I said my scalp was irritated. He bought a water filter. He refused to have intimate time with me because I didn't look like myself to him. I also stopped wearing the red lipstick. I wore a pink one instead, and all he did was ask if I had a new favorite. I told him that red was his favorite, not mine, and he agreed with that. Yesterday I removed the wig so I could wash my hair, and he walked in on me installing it again. He said that I shouldn't put it back on because it looked terrible, and I rolled my eyes and laughed at him. After that, we had a conversation. He said that I looked so much better ginger, and he wanted to have intimate time because we hadn't done it in a few days because of the wig. I told him I didn't know how hair attached to a net prevented us from being intimate. I then asked him why he called me mommy in bed. Disclaimer: I do not enjoy being called mommy in bed, but I dealt with it because I love him. He gave the same response as usual and said it was a kink. I said I didn't like it, and he said that he wouldn't do it anymore, but he was disappointed because as his partner, I should be supportive of his kinks. I said that I'd support others but not this one. I then told him I found it extremely uncomfortable that I look exactly like his mother. I said I'd understand if we were both gingers, but we look so similar people have mistaken us for being mother and daughter. He immediately got defensive and said that it was just a coincidence. I told him that with the mommy kink, it was starting to look intentional. He then finally came clean. He said that he did decide to get to know me because I look like his mother. He said that he first took an interest in me, non-romantic, because the resemblance was uncanny and he was intrigued by it. Then he said he fell in love with my personality, and that's why he decided to ask me out. So he wouldn't have asked me out solely based on my resemblance to his mother. I asked about the red lipstick, and he said that he liked red lipstick and asked his mother for a recommendation, so I guess that checks out. I then asked about him gearing me towards hobbies that his mother has. I like to crochet and bake because he first introduced me to those hobbies, and I found out those are his mother's main hobbies. He said that baking and crocheting are nurturing hobbies, and he wanted a nurturing partner. And since mothers are usually very nurturing, he wanted a partner with his mother's qualities. And about the wig, he just said he preferred my natural hair. I honestly don't know how to feel about all of this. On one hand, this is weird as heck. On the other hand, his explanations kinda do make sense. I saw a comment on my old post from a ginger saying that she's dated a lot of men with ginger mothers, so I don't know if this means that this is normal or extremely abnormal. He's an amazing and loving partner outside of this, so I'm thinking of getting us couples counseling and postponing our wedding plans. One good thing that has come out of this is that at least I know I look amazing with brown hair too. I would like some more advice and thoughts on this. I'm still in the US with his family, and I still have my wig on. Relevant comments. Commenter 1: Honey, he only gets aroused when you look like his mom. Why are you making yourself okay with this? He's literally conditioned you into being her doppelganger, then he lied to your face about it. Why is she okay with this? Don't ignore the ick feeling. This will get worse when you have children and you don't raise them exactly like mommy did. Get therapy for yourself, figure out if this relationship really serves you or not. How much of yourself have you changed for him? How much have you given up? Ops response: Why are you making yourself okay with this? I don't know, to be honest. He's my first everything, and we've been together for 5 years, and everything was perfect until I met his mom. I know that this relationship is a sinking ship now, but some part of me doesn't want to lose it. Why is she okay with this? She thinks it's cute. How much of yourself have you changed for him? How much have you given up? I don't think I've changed much, but I probably wouldn't be able to tell. Commenter 2: Honey, she's encouraging him to find a replica of her, and that's even more ick than before. You had hobbies before you got together. What were they? What about friends? 5 years is a long time. It's also a drop in the bucket compared to the rest of your life. You deserve a partner who loves you for you, not because of how much you remind him of his mother. If you stay with him, you are signing yourself up for a lifetime of being compared to her, a lifetime of trying to measure up. Was everything actually perfect, or were you perfect about doing what he wanted? What happens when you say no to him? What happens when you make your own plans? What happens when you change your hair? You've already learned that. He won't have intimate time with you. Now that you've pushed back against him a bit, for what sounds like the first time, he's revealing his true self to you. Do you really want to spend the rest of your life with someone who doesn't see you as your own person? You deserve better than this, truly. A good therapist can help you see that. Commenter 3. Who wouldn't be an amazing and loving partner to the young identical version of their mother who has unknowingly been groomed into taking up the exact same hobbies and wearing the same makeup to fulfill their mommy kink every single day? This is beyond creepy. How long has he been preparing you to be his wife, mommy? Ops response: we've been together for 5 years. Commenter 4. How are you not on the first plane back to Germany? This is so creepy. Ops response: I looked at tickets, and they're very expensive. I'm gonna call the airline to see if my existing ticket can be brought forward. Commenter 5. I'm not sure if this will be the case with international flights, but you can go to the airport and see if they can put you on standby, so if someone cancels, you can get on the next flight. Heck, call the closest German embassy and ask for help. You are trapped in an abusive situation. There's probably a protocol for this. Ops response: I'll see if I can get put on standby. My fiancé paid for my original ticket, so the money loss is his problem. I haven't been threatened physically or abused, except some gaslighting, I guess, so I don't think the embassy would care. Edit: I'm currently looking for a flight back to Germany. My narc mom is paying for my ticket, so I've just opened a whole new can of worms, but I'll be paying her back as soon as I get my next paycheck. I've packed up most of my things. Wish me luck on finding a direct flight. Final comments. Commenter 1. Also, please give us an update about what happens when you manage to get back home. Ops response: this sub only allows 2 posts per conflict, so I'll have to post on my profile, but I will try. Commenter 2. Did you end up breaking up with your boyfriend, or what's gonna happen? Ops response: I told him that I'm going back to Germany so I can have time to think. I'm probably going to dump him when he comes back.